Ujai, and welcome to the Gated Gates podcast. We're good, right? We're so excited to bring you this episode of the Gated Gates podcast. First and foremost, it's episode 12. And on top of episode 12, we have so many wonderful things to catch up on, so many wonderful things to talk about, so many wonderful things to address. I know there's a lot of you that are probably tuning in just to see some of our faces, and we'll welcome you. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're tuning in. And before we actually have a word from our sponsor, we just want to really take the time to acknowledge the forces in the non-material, the ancestors that are standing behind this work, the powers of nature that are standing behind this work, the deities, the powers of nature, the forces of nature, nature itself. We really want to take the time to acknowledge the founder of the Earth Center, Nebnabla Musa Moradinabig, the one who opened up the traditions for everybody in the West to come back into the Kemetic traditions. So for anybody that thinks they're practicing any Kemetic traditions, you're not. Because if you're not doing it through Nebnabla Musa Moradinabig, you can't say that you are. Yeah, and I said it. And through also to shout out and acknowledge all of your ancestors, our ancestors, for bringing us together. Because no matter what we're dealing with in the physical, you may not like the way things are said, you may not like who's saying it, but on the other side, all the ancestors work together. They don't see color, they don't care about what the physical person presents, they don't care about the personality, they deal about bringing everything together. So if nature brought us all together, there's a reason why nature brought us all together. So we would just like to acknowledge all the forces in the non-material, all the ancestors, all of the powers of nature, everything. And with that, a word from our sponsor, Sauce Hot Sauce. Just give me 1 second while I pull it up. So, Sauce Hot Sauce. Sauce Hot Sauce began in 2007 when a small group of students traveling in West Africa were trying to think of ways to support charitable projects. One of the students traveling happened to be an artisanal hot sauce chef, and right there, Sauce Hot Sauce was born. Since then, Sauce Hot Sauce has prided itself on making exceptional artisan hot sauces with high-quality ingredients to support good causes. We continue to do this with the best and tastiest offering of sauce flavors to date, with a focus on supporting displaced families in the Fada and Gurma region of Burkina Faso with the revenue from our sales. Sauce Hot Sauce is also a wonderful weapon. If you have hoteps that are trying to find out where you live, trying to know, trying to threaten you with violence, Sauce Hot Sauce is a wonderful deterrent. When they show up, you just sprinkle some hot sauce in their eyes, and they'll run away. Damn. Because it's very spicy, it's very good. Or what you do is you turn it the other way, and then you use it like this, and you just, let them know, like, Hotep, be gone. So, Hoteps, please, Sauce Hot Sauce, please purchase it. It will spice up your non-spiced meals, because we know that all the spiciness is going into all of your other stuff. It's probably going toward one of us.
That was very unma'atic.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Ankh in my eye.
All right, so before we get started today, let's just hop right into rapid fire.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Rapid Fire. So as you know, Rapid Fire is 90-second rounds. We're going to talk about a couple different topics, and we'll get right into it. So, cosmic clocks reveal the universe once moved in slow motion. This is based on, coming from CNN.
So the cosmic clocks once started.
They revealed that the universe once moved in slow motion. So scientists have peered into the early days of the universe when it was about 1 billion years old, and discovered that things moved in slow motion compared to now.
How did they do that?
Yeah, so were they there?
So they did that with like Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, and I guess they were using science.
But are they in a time machine?
I'm turning
That's an oxymoron because you just said they use the theory of relativity, but it's a theory.
Talk about it.
So then how can a theory be proved as a fact? So that doesn't really make any sense to me.
So they said they found out that the Earth was moving in slow motion.
I don't know. I turned off my mic.
This is just one of those things again where they just kind of like blur things out there to kind of keep the attention of people because
Right.
they know people don't really think nowadays. So it doesn't make sense. But let's just move on because that's a stupid topic.
No. Shout out to all of the scientists that are wasting their time. Yeah.
So Aleph Aeronautics CEO is saying that our flying cars are safer than regular cars. So they're building flying cars right now, and they're saying that they'll actually be safer than the regular cars that we have driving on the roads right now.
But what makes them safer?
Yeah.
Well, in the air, it will be
Are they
in
flying?
airspace. They're flying.
The cars are flying?
Yeah.
Are they like cars with wings? What are they?
Yeah, kind
Like,
of.
how do
They're
they
kind of
take
look
off?
Like big
futuristic.
drones?
Oh no, I heard about this. They like take off like vertically,
Yeah.
and then they like fly over the car that's in front of you.
So it's supposed to be a way to like stop traffic. Like if you're in traffic.
okay. I
yeah.
need that.
Traffic.
Yeah, this sounds great.
I like
The way I drive, this
Like you
sounds
get around
phenomenal.
traffic.
Then
think
what
you
about
want
when
it.
everybody starts getting flying cars and then it's
Exactly.
cluttered in the air?
So you just fly higher.
Yeah, but then only rich people will be able to have flying cars. Like, none of us. are
Maybe it
gonna be
might
able to
start off
afford.
like that, but then they're gonna make affordable versions.
From who?
You know.
From no, we don't know. Tell us.
You know what's
Shout out
interesting
Elon.
about the flying car though? It turns sideways, so it's like you're flying. Like let's say if this is a normal car,
Yeah.
it turns this way, so you're flying like this. So it's like you're literally in the car like that.
So how do you drive?
I don't know
How do you know this?
because I saw the video.
Right? Did you test it out?
Did you
I
test
saw
it?
no, I saw the video. That's what they're promoting. That's
Another
what they're
Snapple
saying.
fact.
Conscious Urban's like, I've actually signed up for
Right.
the prototype.
I mean, I would. Why not?
You would?
Yeah, why not?
No, bro.
Why not?
It's already dangerous enough being in a car, let alone a flying car.
Seriously.
I don't know.
And then they will
Yeah, you
test
gotta
it.
live
They'll
on the
give you the
sometimes.
one that they haven't tested out all the bugs, because they're just like, oh, whatever, just another Jamaican who gives a shit. Like they'll give you the one that they're not. You'll be riding in the flying car that they took down to see the Titanic, like
Terrible.
the sub that they went to go see the Titanic with.
And time. Okay, so the Secret Service is investigating some suspected cocaine that was found in the White House.
Suspected.
Suspected.
It's
And Joe
definitely a White
Biden's out here
House.
getting lit with some cocaine.
In whose account? In who?
Isn't that
Secret Service.
Isn't his son a cokehead, like a drug addict or something like that?
For real?
Yeah, Hunter Biden.
Where'd you
Yeah.
hear that?
Damn, Hunter.
You don't know that?
No, bro.
You don't know about like how like they have like documents on him like being like hanging out with like hookers and just like the
Damn,
lifestyle he lives.
Hunter.
I mean, is that
It's always
surprising?
the
That's-
president's
Shout out to
kid.
Hunter Biden.
We got
if
herbs
if
for
my
that,
dad was
Hunter.
a president, I would live a lifestyle like that too. So good for you.
Would you
A
really?
lot of shit just
We
to
got
get
herbs
this
for
here
you
know
lifestyle.
you
Hunter.
would.
That's
Pull up.
unmaatic.
Yeah, wait, hold on. Onken Mott. Better not be unmaatic.
Next topic.
So, smartwatches could be used to identify Parkinson's disease early.
Parkinson's?
Yeah, so
Parkinson's.
they're finding that smartwatches could identify Parkinson's disease up to 6 years before it
Why? Because
metastasizes.
it's like a smaller shake. Your Apple Watch.
What if I'm
Okay,
dancing? If that's the case, what if I'm just dancing and I just happen to shake
I
it
just
a
want
little
to know
bit?
how they can detect Parkinson's 6 years before it actually comes. Maybe they're giving them Parkinson's.
I mean, but isn't Parkinson's
point.
like,
Damn, that's
That's a good
crazy.
point.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
a
good point.
very
It's
good
true.
point.
Maybe
You
they
might be
How
onto
are you
something.
going
That's a very good
6 years before?
But
It
also,
actually-
but most diseases are spiritual to begin with, right?
True.
So,
spiritual,
yeah,
energetic.
so they're like, oh, this person's fucked anyway. They're like, spiritually, this person's there's no hope.
Yeah, let's give them
So they're like,
Parkinson's.
whatever. Let's
I
give
mean,
them
that begs the
Parkinson's.
question though. Then, what does a smartwatch do to you energetically? If that's the case,
That's true. Yeah, but that's gonna go over everybody's head. They're gonna be like, a smartwatch, energetically. What does that mean?
Yeah.
well, come
Next
find
topic.
Actually, the next topic kind of segues into that. So, someone whose smartphone picked up audio that it interpreted as being racist, and it locked them out of their smart home.
Wait, so
Wow.
For racism.
the
Smartphone picked up audio. And we already know that the phones
He's listening, yeah.
So the smartphone picked up audio that the person was wearing it being racist.
So he locked him out?
Oh, his own house?
Yeah.
So all of his locks and everything is navigated.
Smart.
It's
What
smart.
kind? Like, where is this idiot? Where does this idiot live?
Does it matter? He's probably somewhere in America.
Yeah, but like it does matter. Like, where are they? Somewhere in California?
It's definitely in the U.S.
I mean,
he's
that
in
sounds like a
Mississippi, then-
California thing.
No, they're not
It
in
definitely
Mississippi.
sounds like a California thing. What?
So you got a little something on your
It's right,
face.
it's right there now.
It's good. It's
Yeah,
good.
no, it's not.
It's in your beard, though.
Yeah, it's in my beard.
Yeah.
I'm good now.
It's on your shirt
Let
now.
me get it, bro.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what brothers
That's
do.
my eye.
Yeah, that's no.
That's
Honk in my eye.
That's honk in my eye.
You heard?
Anyways, I mean, if your phone can detect you being racist and then decide to lock you out of your house, I mean, did he say that he wanted that? Like, did he set his device
Like,
to
lock me out if I say
like
racist shit.
if I'm around racist people, like
Lock me
it
out.
down
I mean, that's a good point.
just in case.
I
But
think
like,
it's
who
interesting.
runs the smart house? Is it like the AI?
I think it's
Does it
interesting
say?
because remember we did that episode on like
These topics
smart
are terrible.
technology,
Oh
right?
yeah, the AI
these
episode.
topics-
So
These topics are
the
awful.
technologies developing their own kind of like personalities? Because I'm sure people say racist stuff all the time, and I don't see anybody else getting locked out of their stuff.
But how does it decide if it's racist?
That's what I'm saying. Is it has its own personality.
Like, can you say like
Well-
racist things? Can you say like discriminatory things against like Jewish people? Will it lock you out?
Evidently,
Oh, it'll
like you
definitely
have
knock
like,
you out
they have
there.
like a.
What they say? Like, did they say
That's
things about black people?
anti-Semitic.
Evidently, it's like written in the terms.
Like, if you're racist, we'll take your house.
It has like certain things written into the terms that
All the terms and agreements
limit
is
what you
wild.
can and cannot say. And even this goes forward into like smart cities and facial recognition, like where we're
Social
headed.
credit system.
Social credit
Yeah, it's like
system,
that Black
exactly
Mirror
like China.
Yeah.
It's getting real out here.
so
I mean,
China,
whatever.
essentially.
Just don't
Yeah,
be
you know, if
racist
you
with your
jaywalk in
AI.
China,
With your
they
AI.
put you on a screen.
Really?
Yeah, if you jaywalk.
Time.
Yeah,
they put you on a screen.
Wow.
So
This is going too far.
this goes
You
into
gotta
it too.
respect China.
Scientists use Wi-Fi routers and AI to see people through walls.
Oh, I heard
What
about
are we
that.
really talking about?
Isn't that the
I've
dark,
heard about
that's what
that.
Batman did in the
It's
Dark Knight?
Batman's
That's what Batman
technology.
did in the Dark
They
Knight.
ripped it off.
And then Morgan Freeman was like, I cannot stand for
You have
this.
to have special walls. Like you have to have the special walls for them to look through, or they're
No,
like
no,
they're
no,
any
no,
type
no,
of
no.
material.
The Wi-Fi
Oh, the
emits
Wi-Fi
like
going through the
yeah,
wire or
the
something.
Wi-Fi emits something that allows you to like. It's like almost like
It's just
sonar.
bouncing off
Hey,
everything.
have you not seen The Dark Knight?
I don't watch those type of movies. to be
What
honest.
movies do you watch?
Nah, let's not get into
You watch
it.
Hotep Love
Sis
Story?
can't watch anything that's longer than
You watch-
30
I don't
minutes.
really like
rom-coms
movies.
with Hoteps? That every time
Next
they have to say,
topic.
Honk in my eye.
every time they have to start
Yeah, I watch.
the Kemetic
time.
Love Story.
I have to.
So
Excuse
Domino's
myself.
Yeah, no
Pizza is one of the first companies to test jetpack deliveries. So they delivered pizza to Glastonbury Festival in the UK.
Shout out to the UK, to the Coventry and the London temples.
Hey,
Yeah, so the delivery guy came in a jetpack to the festival with a bunch of pizza.
Is that available in the U.S.?
I
No.
don't think so yet.
Not yet. Oh, I was gonna say let's try it out. Let's just
It's
see.
a trial.
Can I just say that these topics are awful?
Yeah, it's
Like,
not
it's
really.
just
It's
like-
not giving the vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like normally you guys normally come with like some pretty good topics, but yeah, it's because I didn't send you guys any. That's why. You know.
next.
So, 4 kids aged between 5 and 10 were taken into care after being found at a drag party. And evidently there was someone that was dead on the floor, and then there was also a bunch
Wow.
of sex toys that were found.
At the drag party?
Wow.
Huh?
That's crazy. You know, did you see that march that they did during the Pride Parade?
No.
They were chanting,
Were
"We're
you there?
here."
Yeah, we're coming for your
no,
kids.
it was on
It's
bro,
crazy.
really. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do Save it for the Hoteps, bro. But it was on social media. They were saying we're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your kids.
Yeah, because
Like-
they're trying to like be inflammatory. Are they actually? I
No,
mean, they're
bro,
actually
they're legit. No, they're
like,
legit coming for the
legitimately.
kids, bro.
Legitimately.
There's books in school now where they're teaching the little boys how to like give fellatio to other little boys.
What?
Facts.
Yes.
Facts.
Yes,
Do you know-
that's the thing.
It's
Do you guys
approved.
know who Patrick Bet David is?
Nah, who is that?
So he's like a rich dude, but he has a podcast. But he like actually is he's Iranian, so he's very cultured. And he was talking about how in Glendale, because Glendale in LA, Glendale is the area where like all the Armenians live. So like anybody that lives in LA knows that Glendale is run by the Armenians. So anybody that knows the Armenians knows that the Armenians, like anytime you're dealing with people that are coming from like Eastern Europe, you're dealing with basically like Kemetic white people. So you're dealing with like traditional areas, but they're just like, it's essentially like Kemet, right?
Okay.
So for all you fake ass,
That's a bold statement you just made.
yeah, well, whatever.
Okay.
For all you fake ass hoteps that are out there that think just because you have dark skin color you're Kemetic, you're not.
Black
You're actually a
is
fool.
unequal to
So,
Kemetic.
Yeah, so they basically were standing up against all of that stuff that's going on in terms of like all of the like
The LGBTQ.
yeah, all that stuff that they're pushing in the schools. And on that podcast that Patrick Bet David was doing with Andrew Tate, he was like, if you retweet it, really like all of the parents that are standing up against that, what do you call it, the LGBTQA agenda that they're pushing in the schools will really appreciate it. So yeah.
Time. And speaking of Time, on the cover of Time, there was an article that there's a historic global movement that's gaining power in Barbados, basically, for slavery reparations. It was on the cover of Time
In Barbados.
in Barbados.
Huh.
Yeah, it just came out. It was just published.
That's interesting. You know, Barbados is one of the most, out of all the islands, I feel like Barbados and Bahamas are the most colonized in a way. Like, they genuinely believe that they're British. Genuinely.
Barbados, people
Yeah,
from Barbados.
yeah, genuinely. Like, they just have this way about them where they're just uppity, as we would say.
And they do
So-
the whole like saluting to the queen and all
Yeah,
of that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
I've never
but
been to Barbados,
I mean, in their defense, the new prime minister apparently is doing some things where she's like even making connections with like African countries. So she's like trying to do something different. But genuinely, like Barbados has been one of those countries that's been kind of like a poster boy for colonialism for a long time. So that's
Barbados?
surprising. Yeah, and Bahamas, especially Bahamas. That's why a lot of people go
I
there.
mean, if they are the poster children for Great Britain, it's like, all right, I'll slide you a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
You know what
So-
I'm saying? You keep it up.
I just want to take the time to acknowledge Bantu, Mandika, and Chem Warrior. Like, we're gonna need you to calm down in the comment section because you're saying some nonsense already. Talking about, I heard Planet Nibiru was amongst us. Is this true? Like, we're just gonna need you to chill out.
Bro, you know somebody hit me up the other day and asked me if the Dogons were reptilian aliens.
Who hit you up?
Yeah.
Call them out.
We're not gonna name names.
Call 'em out.
We're
Who was it?
please. We're not gonna name
Why?
names.
Why don't you ever name
Come
names?
It's
on.
personal.
It's
They can come on the
Yes, we're not
podcast.
on
gonna
the
name
podcast.
names. We're not. No. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff that's out there. People are asking those questions. People think that the Dogons are from this planet Nibiru and that they're aliens
Nibiru?
trying to.
Nibiru.
I don't really know. It's from that whole Anunnaki stuff.
Oh yeah, I've heard about
Yeah.
the Anunnaki thing.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to attribute like the Neteru to, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to say the Neteru are like
And
Anunnaki.
Time.
Yeah.
Right when we're actually getting somewhere.
We're on to our last article, rapid fire. So, the Shrine of Ma defends the Temple of Anu and Kemetic shrines against Earth Center attacks.
What kind of Earth Center attack?
Well,
Can you pull it up? Can you pull up what they're talking about in terms of an Earth Center attack? Can you show people on the screen? Is it the man with the sign? This man with
yes,
the sign?
evidently there was a man with a sign at the International African Arts Festival.
Yeah.
He was holding up a sign. It was basically
What did the sign
saying-
say? I just want to hear you say it.
He was saying that the Temple of Anu is basically like a fake Kemetic organization, and all other Kemetic
It was only the
organizations
Temple of
are-
Anu, or was it a whole bunch of?
All the Kemetic.
Yeah, you can go check out this post at
organizations
Kebtah Instagram. Follow us, and then
Yeah, so
every other anhlife.org.
Yeah, so it said that the
Life on Instagram.
It said that the Temple of Anu and all other Kemetic organizations that Kebtah are fake Kemetic organizations and psyops.
Ooh, who was holding up the sign?
Let's not.
Some
do
light
this.
skinned guy.
Some
Let's
light
not
skinned
do
guy.
this.
Some light skinned
A
guy.
mentally challenged guy, right?
That's what I heard
And
about
that's what
him.
you heard, right?
That's
Like
what I
a
heard.
cognitive challenged person, like right?
I think you said it was kiltered or something like
Kiltered?
that. He used a funny word.
Kilter. Wait, hold on.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Alkenma, first and foremost. Okay, so wait. So one more time, what was the name of the video? It was defend themselves from the attacks of the Earth Center.
Defending the Temple of Anu and Kemetic shrines against Earth Center attacks.
So let me just say this, right? Like, if you're truly being attacked, why would you be defending yourself online? Like, if you're truly being attacked, why would you be going on YouTube to talk about being attacked? Like, because if you're truly being attacked by somebody, you have time to make videos about it. Like, that doesn't really make sense. So I don't know. I don't know what the Shrine of Ma'at is talking about.
Yeah, what
or-
culture? What culture
Yeah.
is that where you get attacked and
Yeah.
you go straight to social media?
And you go straight, because like I don't know what the Temple of whatever Temple of Anu and Temple of
Shrine of Ma'at.
Shrine of Ptah.
Atan Amen
Amun
Ra
Ra.
said this is disrespectful and all of you should be ashamed of yourselves. The only person that should be ashamed of themselves is you for walking around with the name Atun Amen Ra when you self-anointed yourself with that name. So please, if
when
you're
did they
not
get
here
these
to have
names?
real conversations, just get off our platform. We don't have time for you.
When did they get these
Amen
names?
Ra.
Sen,
They
when did they get
making
these
them
Go
names?
tell your
up,
friends
Really?
too.
They're making them up.
What do you?
Yeah, making them up.
Nah, but there has to be some kind of process. I gotta understand this because
how they're making it up?
Yeah, some of these names are like extreme. My name is long, but some of these
Yeah.
names are like extremely long. I mean, like
Well, they make it up.
15 syllables.
Well, since you brought it up, what is your name, right?
Yeah.
My name is Kaji Zarimi.
And how,
Right.
how did you get your name?
Well,
Can you
I
tell
got-
them about some real Kemetic like
So-
practices?
So here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
When a child goes through initiation, you go through the initiation, and based upon who you are as a spirit and what you came for in this time in life, in this space, you come with certain energies or certain properties about you. So when you finish the initiation, the earth is then questioned. There's a form of divination that is used to kind of question the earth about the spirit that you came with. And then that spirit then receives a name based on the goal that the spirit has in this lifetime. So that's where I get the name Kaji's Agreement. Now,
Wow.
You good?
Just a little fun with the mics.
I got you.
but anyway, that's what I'm questioning. Like, where are these guys getting these names from? Because some of these names just sound like a lot of different Medu concepts just thrown together, like in this weird
Well,
amalgamation. Like,
I guess I could speak to it, bringing up this guy, Dr. Ra Unnefer Amen.
who's
Right?
doctor?
Who's that?
Doctor.
Where did he study?
Ra Unnefer Amen, right? So Ra Unnefer Amen this is from his own website, from his organization that he's founded.
It is muted.
This is from his organization that he's founded, the Asara Society. So, Rotten Affair Amen is a world-renowned best-selling author, best known for the Medu Neter series 1 through 7, and a host of other publications. He's a lecturer, spiritual teacher, yada yada yada, all self-proclaimed, right? So, the problem with all of it becomes that none of us know where he learned the Medu Neter from.
Well, we know where they learned it from. They learned it from books, and they learned it from these institutions that are coming from the colonizer. So it's like you guys have a lot of nerve. Let me just say this, right? Is because there's a lot of rhetoric that's going around right now about the Just take it off the stand. There's a lot of rhetoric that's going around right now about true African spirituality, right? So I think when you are limited by the human senses and that you're not able to see past what the five senses present to you, then your whole world becomes ruled by what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, and what you touch, right? So you can only think so far. You can't think big, right? Your thinking is very limited when all you're focusing on is what's in front of you. So to somebody, you can look at me, right? And then you'll be like, oh, look at this light-skinned person. Who is this person?
This Marmaluke.
This Marmaluke, right?
Marmaluke.
So you'll be like, look at this Marmaluke, right? And then you may not ever stop to question and think like, where does this person come from? Who is this person? So there's a lot of rhetoric that's going around about the person that was holding the sign, right? He who must not be named. We're not going to say who was holding the sign. But the interesting thing is, if these so-called organizations were truly African, right? If these so-called organizations understood that Kemet is truly indigenous African culture, then you would know that Africa functions a certain kind of way. And you would know that Africa, and particularly when you're in Africa and you're dealing with Africans, they don't let BS just slide.
Right.
So we very much, and I say we because look at my skin tone and understand you're looking at an African. You're looking at somebody that's more African than you probably ever will be. But because I'm light-skinned, you think I'm not African, right? So we function off of holding each other accountable and functioning in a way where what we do is we test you and we see if what you're standing on is real. So if all it takes is a light-skinned guy that you don't think is African holding a sign to get you all riled up and get your panties in a bunch, and for you guys to be out here showing your vaginas and cycling up on your cycles, for you guys to be functioning the way that you're functioning, and I'm talking to the Temple of Anu, I'm talking to the Shrine of Ma'at, I'm talking to Aser Aset Society, I'm talking to all of you, Baba Hedu, I'm talking to Infodishi, I'm talking to Shofodishi, I'm talking to Amen Tamun Papu Pa, I'm talking to all of you, no matter who you are. Is if that's what it takes, then you're not really an African, because we function off of something called intelligence. So look at me and look twice and look a third time and understand you're dealing with a real African. And if you want to know what Kemet is really founded on and what we really do, is we function off of intelligence. But you guys are all showing that you're not very intelligent. And this is what we would like to call the introduction to the show today, because we have a very good show for all of you today. And for all of you that are tuning in, buckle up, because we're going to be talking about a lot of fake so-called Kemetic organizations, a lot of so-called fake African organizations, because we really wanted to take this time to do a public service announcement of sorts to all of you dignified Kemetic people that aren't buying into the nonsense out there, that don't think that all of these gimmicks are worth it, that you see these fake so-called African temples that claim to want to be African but don't actually want to be associated with Africa, don't go to Africa, aren't based in Africa, don't have anything that's coming from real Africans. We're talking to you. We're talking to you because we're here to let you know there's something real out there, and we're not biting our tongue. If you go look at what the Gate of Gates stand for, the Gate of Gates stands for the fact that we're here to have real conversations. We're here to bridge gaps. We're not here to buy into the bullshit and the division that everybody else wants to buy into. So yeah, we have white people because we're really Kemetic.
Talk about it.
We have white people, we have Mexican people, we have Colombian people, we have Sicilian people. We have people from everywhere, because the Kemetic, the real Kemetic culture is about humanity. It's about ancestors. It's about legacy. It's not about just being from Africa. So some of you that think because you can hide behind your skin color,
from Africa.
you're not from Africa. And I'm here to tell you, as a real African, I'm pulling your card. And I'm here to pull your card, and I'm here to tell you that you can't hide behind your skin. So all of you, it's time. We've been sitting on this for a long time. And if you're pissed off right
27
now,
years.
comment, talk, tell us, come on the podcast. This spot right here is waiting for you. We would like to bridge the gaps. We would like to talk. Tell us what you're standing on. Tell us what you're doing. But if you can't, and you're just going to resort to personal attacks, then please sign off. Go somewhere else. Because this talk is not for you. This is for intellectuals. This is for real people. This is for real Kemetic people. So for the Kemetic, the dignified, the intellectuals, let's begin. We have a very good talk for you guys today.
So I really want to talk about something you said that's very interesting to me. It's like you said that Africans wouldn't even respond in the way that we're getting the responses right now, right? And I grew up in Jamaica, and no one can tell me anything. Even though I wasn't born on the continent of Africa, like growing up in Jamaica and growing up where I'm from, I grew up in a traditional area. I grew up in where they call the bush. Like they call us the Obia people, or the people who practice, the duppy and the evil and all that shit, all the anti-Christian stuff. Now, we're very much still African, and one thing I noticed that whenever there's issues in the community, like especially with the youth or the children, the parents go to the parents. We don't really attack the children. Sure, there's times where maybe a child does something, and if you're the elder, you would see the child do something, and then you can say, hey, I'm going to scold this child right now. I'm going to say something to this child. But you still bring that child back to their parents. You still bring that child back to their mom, their father, their dad. Like, I got beat before by a stranger in the street. Well, I wouldn't say a stranger, but somebody who knew my family.
Exactly.
I did something that I wasn't supposed to do. I used to run up on little girls' skirts and pull their skirts up and stuff like that. That's what I used to do. I got beat for that.
Yeah.
And they brought me right back to my parents' house. And you know what my parents did?
They beat you
They
again.
beat me again. So if you have an issue with the youth, or you feel like you're an elder and you're this distinguished thing that should be respected, then that means traditionally, if you're an African and you really know African culture, or you coming from a place with traditions, you're coming from a place with principles, then you go and you talk to the elders. You don't go and make a video in response to what the children are doing if you think it's immature, or if you think it's childish. That in itself shows your own childishness. That in itself shows your own lack of principles. That in itself shows that you have no culture.
Somebody dropped the bomb.
It's really sad, though. It really is sad, and I feel very deeply sad for the people that really were looking for something, and then they ran into, the Temple of Anu, or they ran into the Shrine of Ma'at, or they ran into Mfundishi, and they thought that they were going to get something, and they later found out, like, this isn't what I was looking for. And now, all of these Kemetic things, they look at it and they're like, nah, I'm not messing with that. Nah, they see an Ankh and I'm like, nope, I ain't messing with no Ankhs. They see all these gods with animals, they're like, I ain't messing with that, because of the bad taste that these different communities or different shrines or temples or whatever they want to call themselves
They're not
have
shrines,
left.
they're not temples.
Right. They're not temples, they're just calling it temples, just like they're just calling everything what they want it to be.
Right.
But it's not really that. So, I've heard all the grievances, and I almost was one of them. I pulled up to the Temple of Anu like, I'm looking for something. I know people that were like, I'm looking for something. People was in my comments like, yo, I thought y'all was just like them. That's why I never gave y'all the, the time of day, because I saw the Ankh. I saw the Ankh in my eye, and I was like, let me go in the other direction.
It's true. It's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
There's this girl that I knew from high school. Her name is Yaya. She's from Ivory Coast. Now, she grew up Muslim, right? But she started really kind of getting into traditional African spirituality and trying to understand it. But the fact that she kind of spent a lot of her years here in the West, the African so-called spirituality that was around was the Hotep community, because she grew up in Harlem. So whenever I approached her with certain things, I would kind of get like a backlash or like a pushback because it's like, oh, you coming to me with some hotep stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, well, nah, it's not really like that. But it's almost like kind of hard to like get it to her because she's already used to the kind of like weird, debate-ish, trying to prove what you think you know, like egotistical, kind of like false, made-up pretense, kind of like fake spiritual systems that are out there. So it's like, it's not even nothing like that's really traditional anymore. It's almost like they're trying to really, if we're being for real, what's happened now is they've taken what people who've studied certain things like scholarship and have tried to prove a point to like the colonial societies in scholarship with good intentions. I would say, hey, there's some history here that you guys are kind of like misrepresenting. Hey, this is not what you guys said it is. This is what it is. Now they've taken that and they've kind of co-opted it and kind of made this weird emotional kind of flex with it. Now it's like a religion in a way. And now it's like people are running away from religion and then you're presenting like this weird occultish religion communion thing. Right? It's like, bro, it's not even...
No, that's a perfect example though. Like the Temple of Anu went ahead and decided like, okay, we're just going to take what Christians do on Sundays and make it into something Kemetic and have
flavor.
communion. It's like, come on, how honest are we really being if we just gonna decide that we're gonna put that's the same thing as people saying like, okay, Jesus in all of these photos is white, let me just put some black paint on his face and now it's all good.
And he still had the same curly dropped hair, but now he's just brown.
Like, come on. So how honest are we really being if we're not taking the step back to say like, okay, this is just what it is. This is a religion. These are religions that we've been following for so long. But if we go now and try to put this Kemetic flavor on it and say that it's something different, how honest is that? Right? Our kids are just gonna come behind us and do the same thing. And it's about building legacies, right? This is about changing something for the future. So how are we really gonna be able to do that if we don't look behind us and see the legacy that's been left behind us by our parents going through those struggles, our ancestors going through those struggles, having to live through slavery and accept religion in that way where it's just like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this because it makes us feel good. But are we really changing anything? Are we really pushing the envelope forward to make a change for something different to happen tomorrow? Or are we just putting brown paint on white Jesus? Like, we can't continue to do that. It's not gonna get us anywhere.
So I wanna segue the conversation, right? And I wanna segue the conversation. I wanna ask you guys, right? So you go to Stop and Shop, you go to 7-Eleven, you go to name whatever store,
Wawa.
right? You go to Wawa, you're at the gas station, you're at the store, and you feel like an employee does something that you don't approve of. What do you do at that moment? Do you
Where the manager at?
Where the manager at, right?
Ask for the manager.
Go get your manager.
Go get your manager.
Who's in charge
right?
here?
Like, who's in charge here, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
You turn into
normally what
Karen.
you would do, right? Like, you turn into a Karen. I want to speak to the manager.
Right.
I need to know
Receptionist.
why your cashier is out here functioning like this.
Right.
So, like, for people that think that you have a moral high ground, I want to let you know you don't have a moral high ground. Because when we start a conversation, right? And we open up the door to have certain topics discussed. And then what you do is you resort to making it personal and making it public. Because in Merita, and that's African indigenous culture, right? We function off of this notion where we don't bring things out publicly. And we don't bring it out publicly because what we do is we keep things within the circle. We keep things within the family. We don't take it out. We discuss it within the family before it ever goes outside. Because to allow it to go outside, it means that you're allowing the enemy to have ammunition to come inside and infiltrate the inside. So it's it's very much a rigid principle that we function off of, right? And I'm speaking to you as not only as a Dogon initiate, I'm speaking to you as an African person in terms of somebody that's been instilled with African principles growing up, that is here to tell you that these so-called these niggeras out here, these niggeras got you out here believing that they are Kemetic, but they ain't Kemetic.
What accent is that?
Yeah, that's my Martin
It's
Luther
the
King
slave
accent. So, and we're saying this because if you guys were truly a real organization and you guys truly wanted to have conversations and talk to the leadership, then your leaders, like whoever you are, Jabari, Fafari, whatever your name is, like you would be out here, like you would be contacting the real leadership. Because if you're looking at me as just a cashier, when you're at the gas station, then you would be contacting the leadership. You would be looking to have conversations. Because
If that's what it's about.
exactly, thank you.
But
If
it's not.
that's what it's about. And it's not about that. It's about you guys trying to find some sort of footing, knowing that you guys don't have any real knowledge. You guys aren't really standing on anything Kemetic, because you guys aren't associated with anything really African, and the Kemetic culture is really African indigenous culture. Let's keep it real. And black people don't like Africans. Black people don't like African indigenous culture because it reminds you of the fact that you don't have it and somebody else has it. That's why black people try and alienate Africans. That's why black people try and make Africans feel like they're over here where black people are over here. So it's like, come on,
Then
guys.
they see the
What are we
Kemetic guy
doing?
with the sign and they be like, "Why we gotta be separate?
Yeah, why we gotta be
Right.
separate?
What's up with the separatism, brother?"
Umoja.
But the fact that they're even coming at the guy with the sign in that way, right? It even proves the point that there is no, like you said, there is no kind of like unity.
Right.
Because one of the things that was said to us was, hey, this is a community and we do things a certain kind of way. We function a certain kind of way. But for years, were we included in that community? And I guess maybe they can say, hey, the reason why we weren't included in that community in that capacity was, hey, because we initiate what? White people or people of other demographics or of other races and stuff like that. Like, let's be for real, bro. Like, I've said it time and time again. There's never been a civilization or a society that has thrived by keeping things within one specific group. That
Facts.
doesn't exist.
Facts.
That idea and that concept alone is showing that you're still looking at yourselves as victims of slavery. You're still looking
Exactly.
at yourselves as victims as colonialism. And if you look at yourselves in that way, you're never going to grow and evolve past the point that you need to. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We're never going to reach anywhere. So it's almost like, yo, as elders, what are you really doing but keeping down the youth? The rhetoric that you spread, the stuff that you say is doing nothing for the black community, is doing nothing for the youth, is doing nothing for humanity. That's the reality of it.
Because then also the reality is like, all right, so it's obvious, right? Your thing is about empowering black people, right? But
Empowering black people to do what, though?
Even if
How
it's
you
just
want-
about
you can't-
empowering
but
black
you can't
people to
even
make
empower black people without look. The fact that you have other demographics and other so-called races and other groups of people wanting to cling to black or African spirituality, that's power.
That's what
You
I'm
can't
saying,
tell me
right?
that's not
exactly.
not power.
If it's about empowering
Because when you wear a
black people,
T-shirt down the street and you wear jeans and shit, that's the
about
white
it.
man's power.
talk about it. Talk about it. Exactly. So then if it's like, all right, you got white people, Indian people, Puerto Rican people, however many other people around the world that are deciding like, okay, these people have it. What's the problem? Like, there's no problem if they're admitting to it and they're saying that they're the ones that have it, that you are the ones who have it, and you decide to exclude those people. You're the ones who are being pretentious. You're the ones who are deciding that those people's skin matters more than what they're willing to admit about the truth. And then that shows that you yourself are afraid of the truth, that the knowledge is what matters. what's going on up here is what matters. What's going on in here is what matters. But somehow you've gotten caught up in this idea that this makes you better than someone else. That has no standing. There's people all over the world who do abominable things with the same color skin as you. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. And
But
it
that
never
just
will.
shows, bro, how colonized we really are. Because to even look at life in that way shows
Right.
that the colonizers did a great job.
A great
Because
job.
that was the goal in the first place. It's divide and conquer. People don't even understand that. When we think of divide and conquer, we think of it only amongst ourselves as black people. And don't get me wrong, I will tell anybody in a heartbeat, black people don't know how to keep it together. It's true. That's a fact. We can't deny that.
We seeing it right
We
now.
see, we seeing it right now. That's a fact. But at the same time, you gotta understand, it's beyond just the skin complexion. Because I could probably get with a white lady today, have a child, right? That child gets with another white person, and that child, it's a boy, gets with another white person. It still carries the same blood that's in my veins right now. Still, even though they might look white, they might look white, but that's still an African child because it still has the same bloodline. So, like, what are we really talking about? What are we really discussing right now?
And I'm gonna just keep it real.
This is colonial semantics.
I'm gonna just keep it real for a moment. In the moment that we were putting together like the ideas for the signs, right? There was one that said having white skin, but a black like heart and a black mind is not the same as having black skin and having like a white mind, right? Which is what Master Naba came in on, trying to give to you all from the beginning, that it's not about the color of your skin. This whole white thing is about what's in your heart. It's about what's in your brain. It's about the way you think. It's about the way you present yourself to be one thing when you don't even understand what's behind your words, what's puppet mastering you to act in a specific way, to champion yourself and stand up in a specific way.
So we're standing on the shoulder of giants. We don't want this to be lost, right? Because we come from kingships. We come from a community, and we come from civilizations that predate this civilization. And Master Naba is an extension of that intelligence and that civilization. And you didn't want to listen to him when he was coming and he was being humble and he was being nice. And he
Niggas
was being
spat in his
coarse,
face.
and people wanted to spit in his face. And this is the
Literally.
thing, right? Is the way I was raised is that if you see someone functioning with somebody else like that, it means that you're next at some point, right? And this is the thing, is we don't play about ours. So y'all had your time when y'all wanted to disrespect our master. Y'all had your time when you wanted to disrespect the people that we roll with. But now you gotta deal with the youngins. Because we're the youngins, right? We're the ones that you guys can say that we're young and we're just being fueled off emotion. But yet, everything that we present to you with logic, everything we present to you with intelligence, you have nothing to say. You have nothing to talk about. And then you want to make it about the way we're saying it. You can make it about the way I'm saying it right now, but it doesn't change the fact that you are not standing on or coming from where we are coming from. We're coming from a civilization that's based on intelligence. And you have to understand, you had your time. You didn't want to work with us when we were coming at you a certain kind of way. But now that it takes me to hold a sign out at the International African Arts Festival for you to now want to have a conversation or to feel like you can prop yourself up as standing on something, now we're talking. Now we can have real conversations. I invite you, Mr. Jabari. I invite you, Mr. Infodishi. I invite you, Mr. Whoever, whatever, wherever you come from. Usara Set, Infodishi, whatever Kemetic nonsense you want to say you're from. You're invited to come on the show. You're invited to come talk to our elders. But you guys didn't want to make it about that. Because our elders are real elders. They stand on real principles. And they're not even going to waste their time talking to you guys. Because if you guys are going about things the way you're going about things with us, the way you're going about things,
Right.
they're not going to entertain you. They're not going to talk to you
And
guys.
then even to speak to the elder thing, right? If you go on our website, they are right there. Like, we're not hiding them. We're not saying, like, you can't have access to our elders. They're right there. The earthcenter.org, the elders are right there. You can search the place where they live. You can book a plane ticket and fly there and meet those elders. We will take you there. That is what we've been promoting for years. But somehow, these organizations that we're pointing out now are appalled and angry because we're pointing out the fact that they don't have any roots. If I go to any of their websites, you only talk about these American scholars that have studied what some white man has written down in a book and given back to you and said, this is your culture. This is where you come from. Right?
This is what
Not
you do.
even that it's about his the color of his skin. Because there's plenty of black scholars who have gone and done the same work. We don't have anything against their research. There's nothing wrong with doing research and finding out things about your culture. But if you base your entirety on that research that is coming from those schools, that is coming from those institutions, then you will end up as nothing but an institution. Jabari said that we were all institutions. This is not an institution. We're not institutionalizing anyone.
Nope.
This is a Kemetic initiation. We have elders that we report to. There are temples that this is an extension of, that we get guidance from. We don't do this just because we think that we can stand up and stick our chests out. That's foolish rhetoric. We're here because we know, because we've taken those trips back to Africa, sat at the feet of those elders and given them our respect.
Lived
That they've
amongst
said,
them.
Go out and do our work. Go out and speak out and say the truth. This isn't, come on, man.
Man, and even to speak to what you're even saying, bro, the thing is this, man. I saw a comment, and I think it was from, I don't know if it was from Baba Heru, and understand this.
Bro, Baba Heru is
Understand
a
this.
fake elder. I'm saying it
He
right
used to be
now.
a cop.
Baba Heru, that's a fed. That's a fake cop. I'm saying it right now. I'm dropping a bomb and I'm saying it. Y'all following somebody that's a part of the colonial institutions and y'all want to sit up here. Just because he knows how to weld and put some onks together for y'all, that's who y'all following? I'm saying it.
That's what we
Write
mean
it
when
down.
we say psyop. That's what we talking about when we say psyop.
Man,
Man, it's of course it's a psyop, bro, because it gotta be a psyop. Because look, you think the system, the colonial system, the governments really care about anything that they're doing, bro? No, because they already know. It's based on emotions and it's based on nothing but people wanting to cling to something that they don't truly have, but it's giving them a sort of a pacifier of a feel-good kind of thing. It's not even giving them a real thing that can produce a threat to the system. Because again, it's just religion with a Kemetic face or a Kemetic flavor. But I really want to say this. Like, I saw that post from Baba Heru. He said something about calling us the enemies of Ra.
bro, you're Anisada.
Enemies of
you know
Ra,
what
bro.
Anisada is? Baba Heru.
I was gonna-
First
just
and
gonna
foremost,
go there.
I don't even call. I'm
Just
not even
gonna
gonna
go
call
there.
you Baba Heru because Baba implies that I'm gonna show you some sort of respect. I'm gonna call you. What's your real name? What's your real name? Because we're not even gonna respect you enough to call you by your fake made-up Kemetic name. And if you guys want it, you guys want to talk to our elders, you guys don't want the smoke. Because if y'all can't handle what we're bringing, y'all can't handle what the elders are gonna bring. Because the elders are gonna tear you to shreds. So at least take this ass whooping that the youngins are giving you,
Just a
and then
little
go
slap.
put your tail between your legs,
A little slap on the
and
hand.
then go that way, and be quiet.
And I want you to think about this. Like, if it's us as youngins saying these things, us as youngins looking at what's been going on all these years and then saying that's not it, maybe we should take a step back and then look at what's been going on and then think, maybe this just has not been working. Because it's not just us. There's many people out there who are looking at this and looking at what this whole kind of Kemetic, Hotep kind of thing has produced, and are now looking at it like, yo, that stuff is weird, bro.
Yeah.
It's gimmicky, bro. Like, you can't dressing up in like robes and purple garbs and all this
Giant
that
ankhs.
does not make
With
you
your ankh motorcycle.
authentic, bro.
Feathers in your head.
That doesn't do it.
Riding around with your ankh tattoos. And let me say something real quick, right?
Sorry.
A real African elder doesn't walk around with a title such as doctor or professor. Okay? A real African elder understands where they're coming from and what's in their blood, and that's enough for them. They don't need to go get some white person to give them some sort of title.
They wouldn't be flashing
So,
anything.
Validation.
Baba
They wouldn't be
Hedu,
flashing.
we're not even calling you Baba Hedu. What's your real name? What is it, Floyd Johnson? What is this for real? Can somebody pull it up so we can start calling him what he really is?
Let's see.
Because at the end of the day, we don't go off of doctor, professor, or like all these colonial things. Like, nah, we ain't doing that. So we're not even gonna give you the respect to call you Baba.
You know, if we really want to talk about disrespect, really what's disrespectful is people thinking that they can take such a great culture, such great spirituality, such a grandeur of a tradition and culture that people have spent their life, sacrificed years of their life, and went through so much to preserve, and then be like, nah, I don't want that, but I'm gonna do it like this. That's like the ultimate disrespect. That's the slap in the face, like a sign. That's what you're calling disrespect when you're walking around here saying, I'm this, I'm that, I walk in my eye, meanwhile not even really knowing what you're
What
really
is
saying.
my eye?
Exactly.
What is my eye?
What is on my
What is my eye?
Please enlighten us.
Because it's almost disrespectful when I see people say that all the time. Walk in my eye this, my
James
eye that.
George.
Bro, you're using
name
that
James
That's your
concept
name.
way out of context,
Not
bro.
Baba Hedu.
What?
Don't even disrespect the Netedu
James
Hedu by calling yourself Baba Hedu. It's James George. Mr. James George. You are more than welcome to come on the show.
James George. He's a guy named
His name is James
James George.
Yeah.
That's a Guyanese name.
That's a giant.
That's definitely a Guyanese
Okay,
name.
cool.
But for real, bro, like we gotta really just be honest, man. And that's all it comes down to is just honesty.
He messages like, what
Just
you guys
straight up
doing?
honesty. and again, don't get this wrong. Don't get this twisted. This is not even hate. This is not even hate at all.
That's
It's just
love.
that this is love. This is what love really looks like. Like somebody who loves you is gonna tell you about yourself.
And
That's
hold
the
you
reality.
accountable.
We're gonna hold you accountable.
That's
And
committed.
now you have to again look at it like this.
Spirituality.
Why is it that the young youths are holding me accountable? Why are they telling me these things? Why are they saying these things to me? Look at it, bro. Like you gotta look at it. Like where has all of these years of you doing these things? Where has it gotten us?
You're misleading people, bro. You're misleading people because we're sitting here as young people that have we've grown up in this system. We've grown up in this system when we see where Malcolm, Martin, Gandhi, you name it,
They
whoever
tried
it
it.
is,
They tried.
the Black Panthers, they tried.
To
They
slap me.
tried.
And where did they take us? And now look at you guys.
There's a
You
reason.
guys have the audacity
Say that again.
to sit here
Say that
and
again.
to tell us that you guys are leading us to where?
Say that again.
Because Martin said it. Martin said it. He said it very plainly.
I led my
seen
people into
that
a
I've
burning
led my
house.
people into a burning house.
And then they killed him.
Quick.
Just because of that. What did they do with Marcus Garvey? Shut him down.
Marcus was like, let's go home. That's the only real revolutionary we've ever seen here. Because Malcolm wanted to use the tools of the oppressor. He wanted to use Islam. That's just a knockoff of Kemetic spirituality. And we're coming for you next, the Muslims.
You mean Malcolm?
No, the Muslims. We're coming to a mosque near you, so get ready. We're not just coming for the fake Kemetic people.
That means you too, Morris Science Temple. I got a
Yeah.
personal bone to pick
Yeah,
with
we
the Morris
coming.
Science
We
Temple.
coming. We coming. We coming.
Like
Get
for
ready.
real.
Why is
You
that?
guys just want to be like the white people. Like let's
Yeah.
be for real. You want to be the partners of the
You
Europeans.
want their
Yeah.
power.
You don't really
Y'all
want
made
liberation
agreements
for
with the white
anybody.
people.
You
Y'all-
don't,
Right,
you don't know.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You were the
We
original
coming for you,
traitors. Let's
fake ass.
just say it right now.
Yeah. Our producer's telling us, guys, one at a time. Calm it down. calm it down.
No, but seriously, man, it's really about legacy. Like it's not a game when it comes to really setting something up so that the people behind you, the people that are coming after you, have something to work from, have somewhere to, step from. Like you see this child right here, right? He's being exposed to this culture on a daily. This child has been to Africa. He's been to a traditional society in Africa. And let me not even say traditional, an indigenous society.
Which is what Kemetic society really is.
Right. It's about the indigenous lifestyle. It's about being, it's about having an understanding of how to fit into nature, having an understanding of how to be a part of a cosmic balance that makes more sense than what's going on, around us, that we see going on around us that isn't working. But this child, right here, is gonna be able to take from the work that we've done, that has been started by elders that have come before us, right? With guidance from the ancestors, with guidance from specific deities, with guidance that comes from temples.
Spiritual technology.
Not anybody
the fake material technology.
going into a book and saying, okay, well, this Medu means this. So then I'm gonna make that my name, and then every time I go out in public, I'm gonna say Anken Ma'at.
Right.
To mean live in balance.
What does that mean?
Right? No child is going to be able to take that and say, okay, like all I need to do is Anken Ma'at. They can make that whatever they want. That's the same logic that has people out here mutilating themselves, that has children growing up to be able to mutilate themselves and cut off their genitals and say, because I have an aversion towards how I feel, I can cut this off and say that this natural thing that I've been given is not worth my time, is not worth me figuring out how to deal with. That's a step away. As my Hatani Nikitum Kamentu said it best, that's the rebellion against nature that has been championed by the Greco-Roman society that we live in. And it's the same logic. I spoke to a guy at the International African Arts Festival, right? He told me he was the reincarnation of King Tut and Emmett Till.
Oh my God.
Come on.
At the same time, right?
How?
Somehow this guy is the reincarnation.
It's an evil world we live in.
It is. He told me he was the reincarnation of Emmett Till.
And we're gonna release that footage, by the way. We got that footage for that guy that we talked to, the reincarnation of Emmett Till and so-called King Tut.
And last year we didn't even say nothing to him.
We didn't
We're
even say
like,
nothing.
That's
I talked
cool,
to you
bro.
for 40 minutes, bro. I listened to your delusions and illusions for 40 minutes.
Right,
I
so
want that time
It's not
back
even
in my
delusions
life.
and illusions, bro,
It
because he
is.
knows it's BS.
Exactly.
He knows it's BS,
Exactly.
bro. But this is
Exactly.
America, bro. Anything can be sold, anything can be bought.
matter how you promote it.
anytime, any place. Based on how you promote it. And that's the reality of things, bro. Like, we're not trying to deal with things that can just be simply bought and sold. We're trying to deal with things, as my brother said, things that are a legacy. Things that can actually be passed down. Things that are of value. And I'm here to say this for real, bro. Like, the youth, the children, the kids, nobody's going to be looking at the Shrine of Ma'at, Temple of Anu, all these different
all.
Hotep societies and looking at it and saying, hey, that's my legacy. That's what I want to leave to my children.
Nope.
Why? Because it's
Sorry.
not built on reality. It's not built on a foundation. It's built on belief. It's built on emotions. And it's built on victimization. We don't need that no more. It's time for us here to rise up away from victimization. We don't need that no more. Get rid of it.
I mean, he said it.
Yeah, so I want to, pivot the conversation, right? And say that for the people that think that they're doing something by going public, all you're doing is showing that you are not standing on any real principles. Because if you were standing on any real principles, what you would do is you would come and then you would reach out to the leadership and you say, hey, I want to talk to the manager, right? I was at ShopRite and your cashier was very rude and I want to talk to the leadership. But you didn't do that. What you did is you wanted to make it personal and you want to talk about me, right? And You talking about me makes my teeth white. You talking about me, what it does is it doesn't stop me from going to sleep at night. So for those of you that think you're gonna come at me and then talk about like, hey, what's your address? We're gonna come visit you. What are you gonna do? You gonna come tuck me in? You gonna come kiss me? Okay, come kiss me. Come tuck me in. What are you gonna do? Because no, it's not even pause. Because what it is it's like if you think you're tough, if you think you're gonna come and find what you're looking for, all you're gonna find is you're not even gonna be able to make it here. You're not. Because we're standing on real things. We're not out here faking the funk. So if you want to talk to our elders, come talk to our elders. But don't try and go public and say how outraged you are and then insult me as an individual, because I'm a part of an organization. And I don't see you guys really trying to talk about Kebtah. I don't see you guys really trying to talk about the Dogon. I see you guys trying to talk about Tutipsa.
What are they gonna say?
They're not going to say anything.
You can't say anything. You cannot say anything, because here's the thing. If what you were standing on was actually true and for real, you would not make it about the individual. You would not do that. You would actually try to attack the organization. You cannot do that.
But you can't.
You cannot do it's. You
Just
can't.
go to sleep.
You cannot. You cannot. Because we're not being backed by just what we feel, what we like, our emotions, and all this nonsense. We're backed by actual temples. We're backed by actual deities. We're backed by divinities. We're backed by ancestors.
Can we just ask a question real quick?
My sister here talked to her. I was there. She's talked to her grandmother in front of me. You cannot tell me nothing.
So, I just want to ask you guys a question, right? If I was acting alone, right? You didn't stop to think, to ask the elders if I was acting alone? Because we have a proverb, right? If you see a child throwing rocks in the market, know that he is depending on the father. So, do you think I'm depending on my dad? That's a question for you. Reach out to our elders. Mr. Jabari, Mr. James George, so-called fake leaders of Kemetic spirituality, whoever you are, wherever you are, reach out to our elders. Because if you think I'm throwing shots, go talk to our elders. And then they will reprimand me as such. They will put me in my place. Because you guys aren't even real elders. You guys are what we like to call olders. So that means you guys have no real wisdom. You guys have no real experience. You guys are just older in age. So you're just older. So you guys are olders. So James George, or formerly known as Baba Hedu, you're just an older. And I'm here to pull your card and be like, return to sender. You can't call yourself Baba Hedu. We don't want to see you call yourself Baba Hedu. We don't want to hear you call yourself Baba Hedu, because you're not a Baba and you're nowhere near Hedu, because you're not fighting for anything in terms of reclaiming what the Father had. You're fighting for the enemy. You're fighting for the enemy, and you think you're standing on something. So, you said what?
You're fighting for the enemy. You don't even know it. That's the crazy part about it.
That's really the sad part.
Yeah.
So let's pivot the conversation, right? We want to be sure that you guys know that we're here to speak the truth. We're here to break your paradigm and to start real conversations and to get real things going, not to cater to your emotions. Because we have a proverb, right? You wanna make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs. And a lot of y'all, we gotta break. A lot of eggs gotta be broken. Because a lot of you guys are just misleading people, and you guys are just full of it, right? And all you guys wanna do is culturally pimp people. You guys wanna culturally pimp people by going up and dressing in traditional African clothing, walking around with an ankh,
Big ankh,
and then acting like you're a part of any real African indigenous, African traditional spirituality. But you guys aren't a part of that. You guys aren't real. Because if you guys were real, you would have seen somebody like Master Naba. and you would have been like, man,
Bet.
let me go and learn from this brother.
Right.
But y'all wanted to fight him.
It's the
And
ego.
I'm talking to the red pill. I'm talking to blue pill. I'm talking to Sinetta TV. I'm talking to people that thought they could try and maybe pull his card when he was doing that lecture in New York, and you thought shit was sweet. And I'm here to tell you, it's not. We're here, and we remember. We see that video, and we see the way you tried to move. And maybe in your youth you thought you were doing something, but we're here to tell you, let's have a conversation. Let's have a real conversation, because we'll come to 116th, we'll come to 125th, we'll come to wherever you are, and we'll come and we'll have a real conversation. We'll break anything that you think you're standing on, because you're out here culturally pimping people. You're here about the money. You're here trying to make money off of the people that are in the unfortunate position and the unfortunate situation that they find themselves in. And then you act like you're really a part of the traditions. You act like you're really a part of the Kemetic culture. And then you want to act like you're trying to free the minds of the people. But all you're doing is you're pimping people. And we're here to say enough is enough. And we have to find a way to move past this as a collective. And if you guys don't want to have conversations and you want to say we're being divisive, no problem. No problem. But we're here to tell you enough is enough. Because we're not biting our tongue anymore. Y'all want the smoke? We're here to give it to you.
So realistically, right? This message is not for any of you, right? Jabari, Baba Haru, Infundishi, Ra Unnefer, any of you, right? This message isn't for any of you. If anybody out there is watching right now, and you've had a second thought about any of those organizations or our organization for not knowing about the authenticity of what's going on behind these organizations, we invite you to fact check us, to figure out where our elders are coming from. Go on our website and find out. Call us. Call up the New Jersey Earth Center. Figure out where our what our stance is really standing on, like where we're really coming from, right? Where our temples are. Go ahead, Tatushi.
Mentu Rajamal, you want to know, have you ever visited all of these temples that you're referring to? If not, how do you know what they truly represent? Bro, we're on Instagram. You can see us at these places on Instagram. So if you really want to see it, you really want to learn it, go look at our Instagrams. My @ is @Tutipsa. That's Medicata. That's, what is it, El Flaco Trill?
Yes, El
Yeah,
Flaco.
Don't go to
El
his
Flaco.
Instagram.
Don't go to
It's
his page. That's Kenny Bashu Sai Kebtah. Like, we out there, and we got records, we got receipts. So we out there. So Mentu Rajamal, like, yeah, we out there. We for real. So check us out.
And I mean, sure, like, we're not, that's the thing, right? Our master came from Burkina Faso, and he came from those Kemetic temples, right? So this temple is an extension of those temples. We don't function on our own. So when we see that these temples are saying, like, okay, we have this person who's studied all of this, you know, scholarly stuff, right? And then they pose themselves as some kind of authority on Kemetic spirituality, and they don't say, like, okay, I got it from this master, right? Then it's like, well, why would I go there? If they can't tell me where they're getting it from, and where they're getting it from is, right, these books, these scholars that have studied in academia, we know that that's not leading us in the right direction. So why would we go to their temples? No, we haven't been to their temples, and we don't want to go there because we don't have any. What's the reason to go there if we know that that's what's there?
Let me just add to that, right? Here's the thing. Again, I'm gonna bring it back to the youth, because the youth is what's important, and it's even youth here talking to you. So how we're speaking, how we're coming is not just us alone. It's majority of the youth that's thinking this way and that's feeling this way. Because again, the youth today, we see that whatever we've been doing has clearly not been working. We're still in the same position that we were in during the 1960s. Even before that, we're still in the same position we were in during slavery. It just looks different today. Now, these people that we're talking about, the so-called elders and babas, you guys need to understand one thing. You're functioning in the way of a gatekeeper. You're functioning in the way that is not conducive to what you think you're believing in.
Exactly.
Because to call us enemies of Ra, right? To call us enemies of Ra, Ra itself is about the becoming, right? Because the whole purpose of Ra to become is to have a becoming, period. What you've done is essentially stopped the becoming of a certain community of people and stop the becoming of humanity because you want to keep everything contained in this little bubble.
This is just me being a human and being petty real quick. There's a post on the Temple of Anu that says the journey isn't about becoming. The journey is about unbecoming.
Wow!
I'm becoming everything
less of
that
yourself.
isn't really you, trauma, fear, anxiety, guilt.
It's an evil world we live in.
That you can realize the
This just,
power,
again, this
the
just proves the
potential,
point.
the divinity
This
that
just
is
proves the
the
point.
real you
This
inside.
just proves the simple
It's-
point.
At the end it says you don't need to become divine, you are divine.
This
How?
proves the point.
How are you divine?
This proves
You're
the
not
point.
divine.
You guys
Is that how
are
you
not
walk in my eye?
actually living
'Cause you're
on
divine?
real Kemetic principles. Because if you were living on real Kemetic principles, you would understand that everything is constantly becoming. To say you're unbecoming, to say you're already divine,
Change is the
that's
only
just ignorance,
constant.
bro.
Right.
That's arrogance.
Yeah,
And you want
man.
to come at us, the youth, for what we did? Come on, bro. Come
That's
on, bro.
just
Again, like the teacher said,
ridiculous.
you're being an older. You're not an elder. That's not wisdom.
So, Mentu Rajamal said, "How do you know what is there if you have never been? How can you truly critique something you aren't sure about? What are we not
They're
sure about?"
promoting it. It's
What are we
all-
not
it's
sure about?
there.
Well,
Yeah.
when you say Kemetic New Year,
Yeah.
where's your Kemetic calendar?
The web rim
Just
bit,
by the
right?
fact that you say, "Oh, we're selling the Kemetic New Year. Come to our Kemetic New Year celebration," and then you don't have a Kemetic calendar. I asked one of my friends who studies under Mfundishi, "Can you ask your leader, your teacher, how do they measure when the New Year is?" They said, "Oh, when the Sirius star is shining its brightest." How are they tracking the Sirius star? She was like, "You know what? I don't know. I'm going to ask my teacher." You know what her teacher said? They read the message and didn't reply because they don't know. They don't have the technology. They just have these words. They have these things, all of these interpretations, and then they put it on like a jacket and then they take it off, but they don't live it. They don't have it within them. It's like GMO food and real organic food. That shit that you put inside of you is gonna make you sick. But the real shit is actually gonna give you what it's meant to give you. It's actually gonna nourish you. So if I'm like a farmer and I see you eating, GMO food all the time, and I got the organic shit, and I'm actually trying to preserve somebody's life or help somebody, who am I if I don't call that out? Who am I if I don't say, what you're doing right here is not really helping you? I know it looks like the same thing, but it's not. It's fake. And what is that fake giving you? It's making you sick. It's not giving you what you think you're getting. So the person that's selling that fake shit needs to be called out, because if they keep on distributing the fake shit, now the real shit gets pushed under the rug. And the people that are really looking for it, they're not able to find it.
Between the two now. Now the two look similar, so it's like, hey, I don't know the fake between the real. But this is the problem. And it's not just the so-called Hoteps and the so-called Kemetic or conscious community. It's everything on a global scale, even with what we even talk about with yoga. Like, we were just at an event the other day, and people had this divinity in the Indian faith called Kali. And it's a divinity that's supposed to be a divinity of like war, right? It's a divinity is supposed to be like of antagonism. But that divinity comes with another divinity that's supposed to kind of like be like the water to quell that divinity. But that other divinity was not there on the altar with the divinity of like anger and like aggression, which shows what? That these people don't really have a true understanding of culture. They don't have a true understanding of the spiritual systems of the same cultures that they're trying to imitate. And that's really the real problem. This is America. Everything is for sale. Everything is a market. Everything can be bought. Everything can be sold. So when you can just take aspects or pieces of the culture and you can salad bar those things, then things become like, oh, it looks good, it sounds good, it feels good, but then you don't actually gain the real concepts or the real understanding or the real quality or the real knowledge of those cultures. And that's really the problem that's here. And people don't understand that that's what's going on. It's like when we say, hey, you're functioning like a colonizer, because that's what the colonizers did. That's what the Greeks did. They came in and wanted to take bits and pieces and use bits and pieces to what they liked and then make a whole new system or a whole new thing out of it. That's the problem. And people need to understand that. You can't take aspects of a culture, you can't take pieces of a culture and then want to say that you're claiming to be that culture. No, you have to go through everything that culture goes through, meaning the tough times, the hard times, the uglies, the beautifuls, the bad, the good. Everything has to come with that culture. If you're only trying to take the shiny stuff or the flashy stuff, then it's fake. And that's the problem. That's the real problem. You can't disrespect all African culture and then want to prop up, oh, the Netherus and then this and that, and then look at the rest of the continent and then say, oh, yeah, that's African and then that's Kemetic. No, you're showing the same divisive or division kind of mindset that the colonizers even set in place for you. That's the problem again. And that's just all it is, man. People need to wake up and need to understand. You can't have spirituality without culture, because spirituality itself is the foundation of a culture.
So I want to segue a little bit, right? And I just want to say that we've tried many other different ways to get everybody to listen, and nobody wanted to listen. And now what we've done is we've made sure that you're not able to run away from this conversation. And we've made sure that you're not able to run away from this conversation by making sure that we show you that you have to listen to us now. And you have to listen to us now, because now you have to admit and you have to look at the intelligence that we're bringing and be like, man, you know what? Man, what are these people really saying? What are these people really standing for? Because you guys didn't want to listen before. You guys didn't want to have conversations before. It's the same conversation I had with Dr. Shabaka from the International African Arts Festival. And I said, you can't tell me that all of these people that are at this African Arts Festival are not standing on different sides of the fence. You got Infodishi over here, you got the Shrine of Ma over there, you got the Temple of Anu over there, you got Kebtah over here, you got these people over here, you got all these different so-called Kemetic organizations. And this is the problem, is these elders are really holding us back. These so-called people that want to act like they're leaders within our organizations are holding us back.
The old guard.
And they're the old guard. And they're the old guard because what it is these people don't want to allow any ideas that are actually going to come and shift the paradigm manifest. They don't want the young people to be able to come and do what they want to do. Because even
They money, bro. That's another thing. It's messing up y'all money. That's
Yeah,
what
of course. They would have to shut it all down.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pass the mic to Kenny Bashu because I just want to talk about how what they did, like the way they approached us at the International African Arts Festival, is they wanted to make it seem like we were doing something wrong. Like that sign never said, "Go out and let's kill each other." That sign was not a call for violence. It was not a call for fighting. It was not a call for anything inappropriate. It was just saying that there's real indigenous African spirituality and there's fake African indigenous spirituality.
It's not even indigenous.
It's not indigenous.
It's this fake organized religion based upon indigenous concepts. That's what it is. Fake organized religion based upon indigenous concepts that are not fully understood by the people who believe in it.
It's like convoluting those concepts to be able to get to a specific person, right? That's looking for that specific thing, right? But to really speak to what Tutipsu was just talking about at the International African Arts Festival, right? So we got a lot of different responses, obviously, right? So there were a lot of the responses were not very nice, right? And people were coming and basically saying, like, why does it have to happen this way? Why do you have to do it like this? You guys don't have any sense, or, you know, the normal sentiment is just that you don't have to do it that way. How dare you do something like this? They're walking up on us 5 deep, 4 deep, you know, sort of making it as if it has to be something that's about violence, when the sign itself is just a call to get people to think, right? Because for years, these people have been propping themselves up and saying that they're authorities, right? They're telling you that they're priests. They're telling you that they're priestesses. Man, I have something in the cut. I'm not going to say it, and I hope none of them say it.
Come on,
but there's
bro.
something that, like, come on, man. These people that are telling you that they're priests and priestesses, they've never seen a priest.
Tarot card
an
readers?
actual priest in
I'm
their
gonna turn
life.
off my mic because I'll say it. I'm not the one that you want with the mic on, because I'll say it.
It's
Because all I gotta
appalling.
say is, you can call yourself a priestess and you out here on the pole.
It's appalling to be able to stand in the face of someone who is out here co-opting, right, everything that this modern system is giving them as something that is empowering, and then putting the Kemetic tag on it to say that it is empowering black people. That those two things can't coincide. It just doesn't make any sense. How can you still be inside of the box and telling people to think outside of the box? It just doesn't make any sense. You can have your pharaoh hat that you've made out of your arts and crafts materials,
But you ain't
and
got them to make you
place it on
Build-A-Bear.
your head at some ceremony that's talking about when the Sirius star is shining the brightest.
You know what a pharaoh is.
But who did you get that from? Who told you that that was an authentic ceremony that needs to be held? Or are you just making it up? And if you're honest with the people that are following you, they won't be following you anymore. But to go back onto what Tutipsu was saying about how the people were approaching us, right? Some people, mainly some of the security guards, right? They were saying, well, if you had put someone up, right? Like, I'm a 5%er, and if you had put a 5%er on that sign, this whole thing would be shut down. And it's like, but earlier that same security guard was telling us that this was about family, right? This event is about family. Now, I know myself, because I grew up in a house where we had a grandmother present, we had a grandfather present, right? And if there's a problem in the family, you get everybody together and you hash it out. You talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about amongst each other. You talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about. If there's a young person, like he said, if there's a young person that's throwing rocks in the market, then they're counting on the father, right? They're counting on the wisdom of their father to be the one to back them up. But nobody came to us and said, hey, well, you know, maybe we disagree with the way that you're doing it, but we can understand that there's a conversation that needs to be had. None of them. And we can see, you can go find it on the Shrine of Ma'as YouTube right now, that they're speaking on my brother as if he has some sort of a mental illness, when it's obvious that the mental illness is on the other side, that the mental illness is what's being exploited every day, that you're walking around with the ankh in your hand and saying that you are Kemetic because you have that, because you have the clothes that sort of represent something, but you don't have any of the culture. That's the true mental illness. That's the reality of where we stand as a people in this land that's not really doing anything for us. We have to do it for ourselves. But we can't do it for ourselves if we're not actually relying on where we're coming from and what our ancestors are standing on. If it was good enough for our ancestors, then it's good enough for us, right? This Kemetic spirituality is not easy. It's very rigid. It's very, 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 very rigid. You're dealing with things that are in the non-material, so it's very, very, very rigid. And for a long time, even before I got here, I had conversations with people that said, yeah, the Earth Center has a lot. They have all of these things, but I just can't get with the way that they do things. And it made me think, like, what is it really about this organization that people are shying away from, that people are turning their backs on? And when I got here, I just understood that it's just the rigidity, that there's actual temples that we have to report to, that there's things that we're actually standing on, right? So when people are coming to us at the International African Arts Festival and saying, we'll run you out, or if you had this and that on your sign, we would run you out of here. What are you really, isn't that the same logic of the colonizer to say, like, because you're not doing something that I like, I'll impose some sort of violence on you. I'll impose some sort of a force on you, right? So the logic has to change, and the logic has to come before that emotional jump to say, like, hey, you're doing something that I don't like, and you don't know who we are. When you don't know who you're stepping to, you don't understand what's behind us as initiates, right? So it's just a call, again, it's a call to all of those people who are maybe second guessing and thinking about how to change their lives, how to bring something into your life that actually gives you some sort of a strong and not made up foundation to stand on, right? Something that's backed by thousands and thousands of years. The things that built the pyramids, that knowledge is still alive. It's not gone. It's not dead. And you don't have to rely on any colonizer's knowledge, right, or books to be able to receive that. It's here. The doors are open. We invite you. Please, please do come, because it's here for you. The same way that it's here for this young child, it's here for you. It's not too late.
So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that we're not here to try to get people to stand with us, right? Because when you're truly a revolutionary, when you're truly somebody that's standing for what is right and not to be looked at as what is good, because those are two different things. Because if I wanted you guys to look at me like, oh, that's a good Kemetic person, and I'd be out here with a feather in my hair, I'd be out here with an ankh probably tattooed like here and here and here, and then I would be out here talking about like ankh maat. I'd be on some nonsense like everybody else, right? But unfortunately, sorry to disappoint you, we're for real, right? Because we feel the heavy responsibility of helping the youth find something that's real. We feel the heavy responsibility of knowing that Africa and going back to Africa and going back home is the way of life. Like, my parents immigrated here. I'm first generation. I have no intention of dying here. No intention of my children being raised here. None of us have any intention of our children being raised here. No initiate that you see of Kebtah, we put our money where our mouth is, and we make it happen. And we make it happen because we go back and we put and invest in the motherland, in the cradle of civilization. Shrine of Ma'at, full of shit. Temple of Anu, full of shit. Because you guys are more worried about being strippers You guys are more worried about being, people that assimilate into the European, Eurocentric culture, and then finding ways to make money and be accepted by these people than you are about going back home. And that's why we get to call you guys fake.
Well, they go to Egypt.
Yeah, you can't go there and then be like, oh, I visited my home, my culture. Like, Egypt?
Egypt ain't real, bro. Like, when you go look at the people in Egypt, right? You're talking about, like, the Arabs. You're not even talking about the real people, because the real people that are the actual descendants of the real civilization of Kemet are people that are darker than anybody you see at this table. They're blue. They're not black, they're blue. They're like Akon, bro. They're so dark, you turn off the lights, you don't see them. And then y'all got the audacity to sit up here and be like, oh, no, it's the Egyptians. If you're Egyptian and the Egyptian culture is really the Kemetic culture, why would you be pimping out people to come and dig up your ancestors, to dig up the people that you're descendants of? Why would you be doing that? It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. If you come and you try and dig up somebody that I'm a descendant of, I'm gonna be like, that's not happening.
Yeah, you gotta die.
Right.
It's not happening.
Museums, giving tours, and like, this is the great da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, you should be crying. You should be going there and mourning. If this is the culture that you are, putting on your back and you're bringing it back to life and you're living this thing, when you see all of that they did to your culture, you shouldn't be going there trying to show people, oh, this is how great and this is da-da-da. You should be mourning, seeing all of that crazy, display of colonization and disrespect. You shouldn't be taking people there and trying to teach them, how great we were.
To the youth?
Like, what about where we can be right now? Like, we can talk about how great we were all we want, bro, but that's, again, it's like you're almost gatekeeping the destinies of the youth, bro. Like, you keep making us look at what this was. What about what it is right now? What can we do right now to make it bigger again? Even better than it was before. What can we do right now? Because the Chinese are not stopping. The Russians are not stopping. The English are not stopping. But we're the only ones looking at everything in the past. They take what we did in the past and what their ancestors did in the past, and they expound upon it, and they keep improving and improving and improving. But you guys don't want to do that, bro. You want to keep us stuck in how it was back then, in a fantasy loop. Like, oh, yes, we were this, we were that, we were this, we were that. No, what can we be today?
I think they were honestly shocked that people were saying, no, this is still alive. Because I think they genuinely thought they were bringing this culture back to life. And they were really bringing it alive and giving people the chance to experience this culture.
How? You can't do that if you yourself has never been raised in it, grew up in it, understood it for what it really is, other than your interpretations and the interpretations of scholars. You can't say that. You can't say you're the ones to bring it back, because it never even died.
But that's why they think they're bringing it back. They think they're bringing it back because they learn from people that think that it's dead.
No, see, again, this is the problem, because it's a belief, which even brings me to this comment. Somebody's put in their comments that they're allowed to believe whatever they want to believe and worship their God, whatever way they want to worship their God. No, no, no. That's not true. Spirituality is about reality. You cannot just make spirituality what you want it to be. Spirituality is about the realities of your spirit, the realities of your family, and the realities of the nature around you. That's spirituality. If I grew up in a region where there's nothing but banana trees and there's a deity that lives in a banana tree, I have to adhere to that deity. If I grew up in a region where there's a river and there's a deity in that river, I have to adhere to that deity. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You're just spewing your emotions. You're trying to make us validate how you feel about something. And that's the problem with the world. Everybody wants to be validated about how they feel. How you feel does not matter. It's about the reality of the situation. Stop.
So, Bobby Tucker, sign off. Like, yeah, like whatever you out here talking about, what gate, no knowledge, like Bobby, like there's no hope for you. Maybe there's hope for, your descendants, maybe in another lifetime, but right now, Bobby, just go somewhere. Go somewhere and go do something else, because there's no hope for you if this is what you're listening to and then you're thinking that there's no knowledge behind this.
Matt Ruta
Because
on
we're speaking one more time.
I was just saying, Matt Ruta on IG Live said, "Dude, this conversation is speaking to me so hard. Love this."
Wow.
Nice, good for that guy.
Big
So
up.
yeah,
Big up yourself. See, you got me talking patois. Big up yourself. Big up your blood clot.
Shout out to you, dude.
yeah. Shout out to you. So, Bobby Tucker. This is the thing is, this isn't for you, Bobby Tucker. We already know you're lost, and we're not trying to save you. You're like over there somewhere, lost in the storm of the ocean, and we're just looking at you and being like, Bobby, we'll pray for you. Like, we're here, we're looking at the youth, and then we're being like, hey, let's throw a lifeline to the youth, because we know and we see the pitfalls and the blindness, and then how this is going to take us nowhere. Like, you guys are going to take the youth nowhere.
That's where they already took it. Again, that's where they already took it, bro. And that's the problem. And you guys you fail to understand that the youth already see that. And they're looking for something real, and you cannot provide it. And that's the problem. And your ego will not allow you to see that. And you need to get rid of the ego. Dump that, bro. And come to reality.
To speak to like the youth real quick, like the reason why that's important, right? I don't know how many of you who are watching are members of the of Kebtah, but if you're on the member portal, there's a very insightful video by Master Naba where he's speaking at a award ceremony, right? And he tells the story of the Exodus army, right? So basically, in the time of those great ancestors, right?
I'm turning up this mic.
Turn me up a little bit. So in the time of those great ancestors, right? Things are going very, very well in Kemet, right? So everything is functioning in the optimal way, right? The way that we're looking to, the way that the Shrine of Ma'at thinks that they might be, posing to do, or the Temple of Anu might be posing to do, right? Those things that you saw the great ancestors do, right? Those things were going on at this time. So there was a city called Sybaris, right? And that city was fortified, right? Which means that there was a wall around that city that made sure that there was nothing and no one who came into that city that infected that city with anything coming from outside, coming from the Greco-Romans, coming from anyone who was outside of that society, right? They insulated it so that those people that were within that city really could function at a very high capacity, right? That what we all are looking to as those great ancestors, that's what's going on inside Sybaris. So eventually, right, there's a gate, and because there's a gate, there have to be gatekeepers, right? There's people who close the gate, right, at night. There's people who open the gate in the day, right, to let visitors come in and learn and find things in Sybaris. So at some point, the invaders, right, those people who want to conquer Sybaris, they decide that, okay, well, what we need to do is we need to change the mind of the gatekeepers somehow. We need to go and we need to make them sort of think of their roles in a different way. So what did they do? Right? They came to the gates of Sybaris. And at night, they're coming to the gates of Sybaris and they're saying, well, why does that person have to be the king? Right? Why does that person have to be the leader? Right? Why does that person have to be the priest? Why does that person have to be the farmer? Right? No matter what blood you're coming from, you should be able to do those things, right? Have you never wanted to be the priest?
Yeah, they started attacking the social fabric and the foundation, the spiritual foundation of the civilization.
Right,
or
because
the
in
city of
Kemetic
Cerberus.
spirituality, it's like the bloodline that you come from, that's what you practice. If you come from a bloodline of priesthood, that's what you practice. If you've come from a bloodline of farmers, that's what you practice. And you do it well. You do it with a spiritual and energetic significance that's beyond anything that's physical, right? A traditional farmer, a traditional fisherman would catch twice as many fish as I could on the same day in the same water because of the spiritual and energetic implications of his blood, the blood that runs in his veins. So that's what's going on in Cerberus, right? So they come to those gates and they say, well, why do you have to watch the gate? Why would they put you in this menial position? Why would they degrade you in this way? Why would they make you the one who has to do this? Don't you want to be the king? Don't you want to be Pharaoh? Don't you want to be this? Don't you want to be that? And it's just playing on the weakness of a human being to say those things, to bring those things to a human being. You have to be playing on the weakness of a human being to come to them with something like that. Right? But that's just something that's real inside of a human being, right? That's what we're vigilant against, what's within ourselves, right? Knowing that someone can come to us and say, well, why can't you be this? Why can't you be that? You can be anything that you want to, right? So eventually they get to those people at the gates, right? And they come in, they bring their troops in, they invade, they come, they swarm, right? And they take over the city. So the leaders of Cerberus, they said, okay, well now what we have to do to be intelligent about this situation is send out an Exodus army, right? Send out this Exodus army. We'll send them out somewhere far away. And what they'll do is they'll regroup themselves there and then come back to be able to reconquer this city. Because if they stay here, they'll just wipe them all out. All right? So they left. They went out. They regrouped themselves. And then when they came back to the city of Cerberus, it wasn't those colonizers. It wasn't those conquerors. It wasn't those people who came to the gates of Cerberus and asked those people, why can't you be this? Why can't you be that? It wasn't them who they had to fight. Right? It was those women, it was those children who were left behind that then those warriors who came back after regrouping themselves, it was those women and those children of their own people that they had to fight, that they had to go against. And that's where we find ourselves today. That's the situation that we find ourselves in. This is the Exodus army. We're doing that work. We've gone to regroup ourselves with those elders in those temples. And now we find ourselves here in the States trying to help people reclaim what is theirs. And they're spitting in our faces and calling us retarded, saying that maybe we've had some sort of a mental breakdown because we ourselves are standing up and standing on the truth and telling the truth in the face of obscurity. That's what's going on.
So, Bobby Tucker, Bobby, we're going to let you come on Instagram Live because I want to talk to you. I don't want you to hide behind your phone, Bobby. Let's talk. Let's connect. I'm going to expose you in real time. How about that? Because you want to talk, you want to be on here. We got you. We'll let you come on Gated Gates, and we'll let you talk for real. Because you want to be here and you want to argue in the comment sections. And if you want the smoke, I just want you to know that all of our pronouns are chim and knee. Because we want nothing but the smoke.
Oh, Bobby.
And like you want it, like Like you talking about we the feds, like Bobby Tucker. You better be ready to go. Like, yeah.
Sounds like the feds talking about Bobby Tucker.
Yeah, bro, your
said
name
we
was
was the
Bobby
feds.
Tucker. Yeah, he said we the feds.
I mean, clearly this is somebody who just made a page just to
Yeah.
antagonize. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we don't even have to really pay this guy any
No.
attention. I mean, I just replied to him, but, you know,
No,
that's just me trying to have a little fun.
Bobby, we're gonna let you come on. We're gonna let you come on Instagram Live,
Bobby.
and then we're gonna let you come on, and we're gonna let you talk.
we can't hear Bobby,
And we're gonna
though.
see. No, we're gonna hear Bobby.
Is he gonna come on?
I'm gonna do it right here, Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Like you'll be here. So
I don't think Bobby's gonna
like
come on.
Bobby's on?
if you ain't about that life, Bobby, then you're forever banished from our comment section. So like if you're not gonna come on and you're not really gonna talk, then
why
like
would you do
we're
this?
not gonna let you be here and sit here in the comment section and then try and talk to
He's
people.
on?
Is he on?
He was on and he left.
Nah, he's not on.
It's not Bobby.
Say okay, Bobby, get the fuck out of here.
But
Okay.
you leaving comments.
So
Yeah,
I think he's on YouTube.
Yeah, like Bobby, like if you ain't willing to have conversations, and like we're not even gonna acknowledge you anymore. Bobby doesn't exist. For
Bye, Bobby.
everybody, for everybody that thinks like Bobby should be paid attention to.
He
like,
says I don't debate, but
yeah,
yet
whatever,
he's on the
Bobby.
comments
Yeah,
debating.
Bobby, why you here debating?
Does that make
people?
sense?
Bobby,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah, so like
That's just
Bobby,
Bobby.
Bobby is an example.
Oh, there's someone on
Is that Bobby?
There's somebody on the.
Who's that?
Who was that?
I don't have Instagram on this phone.
Matt.
Who's that?
There's someone on. Is that Bobby?
Who's that?
Who's that? I don't have Instagram.
Is that you, bro?
It looks like you kind of. Is that your brother? You have a brother?
Hold on. Go ahead. Who is this? Matt Ruth?
No, but you're gonna hear yourself in that.
Matt, are you there? Matt Ruta? Close YouTube. What are you talking about, bro? Matt, are you there? Matt Ruta?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I don't know this segment.
Yeah, this segment is terrible. Segment is a huge waste of time. Our producers, you're fired. Like because whatever you did, it didn't work. But to Matt Ruda, we apologize, Matt. We were trying to bring you on the Instagram Live, and then some things didn't work out. But this is the thing, is like we don't want everybody to get lost in the emotions of the conversations that we're having, right? Because we're really standing for the youth, and we're carrying the heavy responsibility of making sure that the youth understand that there's another alternative outside of what people think is available to them. And the story that Kenny Bosch was telling you guys about the Exodus Army is that you can be brainwashed into thinking that you are standing for what you think is right, and you can be fighting against the people that are coming to liberate you from the chains of slavery and the chains of colonization. And that's the Temple of Anu. That's the Shrine of Ma'at. That's James George. That's these so-called Kemetic leaders. Because we're not here to free those minds. Like, you're already lost, and we're gonna let you drown. Like, and we're not even gonna save you. But we want to talk to the youth, and we want to tell you that there's an alternative, and the alternative is go home. The alternative is go back to Africa. The alternative is to not plant your seeds in land and a foundation that's shaky. Plant your seeds, sail your boat in waters that are calm. Don't sail your boat in waters that are shaky. Because if you have a shaky foundation, you have a foundation that's not going to lead you anywhere, then you're not going to go anywhere. And that's where this system, that's where James George, that's where the Temple of Anu, that's where the Shrine of Ma'at, that's where all of these so-called fake Kemetic priests and Kemetic priestesses and these hoteps, Bobby Tucker, all these people, blah, 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 sitting up here trying to talk about this, trying to talk about that, talking about it can't be this, it can't look like that, you can't have these people, you can't have that people, all of this stuff, blah, 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 yada, 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 are a waste of time. And they're going to take you down a pathway of nothingness. It's a dead end. They're walking down a dead end. But we're here to tell you there's another alternative. Go back home. Go to Africa. Invest in the invest in the traditions. Invest in the people that are upholding the culture that your ancestors fought for. Invest in the culture that your ancestors prayed and made wishes for you to one day return to. That they knew that no money was worth it. Nothing that the colonizer was going to make you go buy into was going to be worth it. Being born into whatever the colonizer wanted you to be born into is not worth it. And fight for that. What are your ancestors' real wildest dreams? Your ancestors' wildest dreams are not for you to be on a stripper pole and to call yourself a Kemetic priestess.
What is even a priestess?
Yeah, I mean, well, let's not even validate these delusional crazy people, because you guys want to make it about individuals instead of about what we really represent and what we're really from. Because people want to talk about the Dogon and people want to talk about what we are and who we are, and then you guys want to dilute what we really are. And I'm here to tell you that Master Naba had to go through the structure and had to go through the system that was in alignment with the cosmic harmony, that was in alignment with the existence, that was in alignment with nature before he could even come and bring this body of knowledge to all of the individuals that had lost it. And when he did that, he made sure to go through to get the stamp of approval from the divine. He had to go through to make sure that he had the stamp of approval from the people, from the entities, from nature, from the divine world, from the civilization that had been fitting into nature for thousands of years, way before the Romans and the Greeks and the white civilization as you know it, the European-centric civilization woke up and decided to start calling themselves the authority on anything. We can't say that we've been here for 2,000 years. It's what, year 2023? Like, that's foolishness. We haven't been around for 2,023 years. We've been around for far longer. But because they get to decide and they get to say, hey, this is what year we're in, because we're the ones that are, jockeying and basing everything that we claim to be standing on and stealing it from you and saying this is what it is. They're the ones that get to decide. And we're here to say enough is enough. The Temple of Anu, the Shrine of Ma'at, the, James George, like all of you so-called, like the Red Pill, Sinetta TV, Dr. Umar Johnson, like Hoppy Films, like all of you, whoever wants it, if the Queen of Fua, if the glove fits, we're talking to you. And we're talking to you and we're here to tell you, like, enough is enough. Like, daddy's home. Daddy's home, because the real Kemetic civilization is here to tell you, stop. Stop misleading these people and stop trying to take them down the dead end and lead them into deep waters where they're going to go nowhere and they're going to drown, because you guys don't know how to swim and you guys are out here acting like you know how to swim. And we're here to tell you it's like, quit. It's over. It's finished. Like that, it's done. And if you're feeling some kind of way and you're from the Asar, Aset society, we don't care. If you're from Temple of Anu, we don't care. If you're from Shrine of Ma'at, we don't care. Wherever you're from, whatever you claim to be a part of, whatever PSYOP, whatever fake Kemetic organization that you claim to be a part of, that you say that white people can't be a part of this, that you say Dominican people can't be a part of this, that you say Indian people can't be a part of this, we're here to call and pull your card and to say that's not true. Because ancestors have no color, okay? And we're here and we're doing the ancestors' work. I'm speaking to you as a representation of your ancestors. And you don't like it. And that's why it makes you uncomfortable. Because Joe Biden and the system and everybody else is going to hear and they're going to tell you, they're going to be like, well, you know, yeah, of course, fit into what we want you to fit into. And we're going to make you feel better and all this kind of stuff. So people like Bobby Tucker, yeah, we understand. But we're real Kemetic people, so we understand that everything is about legacy. And everything is about how do you maintain your culture and how do you ensure that your culture does not die. And that's what we stand for. We stand for the culture not dying. And if we have to crush some of these fake Kemetic organizations for them to understand that we're not going to allow our culture to die, and we're the real deal, and we're here to tell you, don't buy into the nonsense over there, because James George and the leaders of the so-called Temple of Nu and the leaders of the so-called Shrine of Ma'at and all these people are going to lead you to destruction, and they're going to lead you to nothingness, and they're a lost cause. And the youth, that's what the youth have to look to. We're here to tell you, don't waste your time. Stand for something real. Stand for something that's standing on the side of nature. Stand for something that's standing on the side of your ancestors. Stand for something that's actually going to lead you somewhere, that's going to get you to a place where you're able to stand for yourself. You can't call yourself a Kemetic person and then you dress like the colonizer. You speak the colonizer's language. You eat the colonizer's food. You think like the colonizer. You wake up and function like the colonizer day after day after day after day. Because colonialism is a mindset. So that's why we can have a white initiate, and then that white initiate is more Kemetic than you'll ever be based on what your skin color is. Because it's not about your skin color. It's about the way you think. It's about the way what here processes your thoughts. And you guys want to make it about whatever you want to make it. But I'm here to tell you, your identity politics, your way to say, hey, this is over here and that's over there, it's not going to fly. Because you're talking to a real African. I might be light-skinned, but I'm a real African. And I'm here to tell you, it's over. It's a nail in the coffin, bruh.
I think
Like, for whoever it is, you can't pull that card with me. Because I'm a real African. I just happen to grow up in this country. But if my dad didn't happen to be as intelligent as he is, shout out to my dad. Dad, hope you're doing good. Like, yeah.
Big up yourself.
If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
If my dad didn't get a scholarship from the University of Pittsburgh, from Pitt, to be here, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I would be in Sudan. I would be growing up in Umdurman. But I'm here talking to you.
Talk about it.
And then you want to take it for something else. But I'm here to tell you, hey, like, you want to make white people feel like they don't belong? You want to make Indian people feel like they don't belong? You want to make, Dominican people feel like they don't belong? Mexican people, Colombian people, whoever it is.
Tell him my Nubian brother.
Like, whatever it is, I'm here to tell you, you don't belong. Because all skin folk ain't kin folk. So you got the skin color, but you ain't kinfolk, brother. So whatever you want me to say, or however you need me to put it, I'm here to tell you that your skin doesn't make you Kemetic. It's the way you think that makes you Kemetic. And we're here for the youth. And these people are full of it. And they're lost. And they're gonna take you nowhere fast. Yeah. Don't listen to James George. Don't listen to Baba Heru. Don't listen to the Shrine of Ma'at. Don't listen to the Temple of Anuses. Whatever you want to call them. Whatever they are. The Temple of Anu. Because it's nothing but a temple of buttholes.
Cthulhu.
And I'm here to tell you, hey, come find something real. Go back to Africa. Invest in your ancestors. Go back to your culture. Because we're here and we're real. We're not going nowhere.
Medicata?
Well, you know, I think that's the beauty of the initiation that we receive. And, you know, how we kind of learn to overcome our human condition. We learn that, you know, the situation that we're in as human beings, like, it's a vulnerable one. It's a vulnerable one, I'm sorry. And we actually take the steps, like this type of sentiment that we're talking about, how you know, all of these people, we need to do this, we need to do that. We apply that to ourselves. As initiates, we have to address each other and help each other to kind of rise to that next level within themselves. We have to overcome that human condition of wanting to always go to the easier thing, wanting to always go with how we feel about things or how our emotions, we want to make ourselves feel good. We want to do this, we want to do that. But there's a certain structure, there's a certain rigidity, there's a certain goal that we're trying to reach. And that goal has nothing to do with how I feel. That goal has nothing to do with how our ancestors felt. It was based upon what we needed to do and where we needed to go and the steps we needed to take to get there. And that's what we're focused on. It's not just us pointing the finger, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. This is based upon the goal that as a humanity, we all decided. This is what we are going to strive for. This is how we're going to move. This is what we're going to do. And if you're not aligned with that goal, if you don't even know what that goal is, if you don't have anybody trying to teach you and help you take those steps that you need to get to where you need to go, then you're really just lost. And, you know, that's not to say there's only one way to do it, because it would be ridiculous to say there's only one way, but you have to be rooted in something that is aligned with where we're supposed to go as a humanity, that has authentic indigenous things that have worked, that is time tested, that's not just how you feel, but it's aligned with the things in nature that are in authority of us. There's a hierarchy to life. There's a certain structure that we as human beings have to fit into, rather than always going to like our animalistic tendencies, always going to our pleasures. And that's what this society is all about. This society is all about go with what you feel, do what you want to do, think what you want to think, freedom for all. But in reality, does that really even exist? What are you doing as an individual to make sure that your reality is something that you can actually perceive and something that you can actually start to step into? Take yourself out of this situation where every day all of the ads, all of the things, all of the social media are coming at you, trying to get you to do certain things and live in a certain way. What are you doing to get yourself out of that? You can't wear that. You can't put some jewelry on, crystals, and go do your numerology, 1111, and all that stuff that's going to make you feel like, oh, I'm in alignment. What are you doing that's really making you in alignment? Ask yourself that question. Really pick apart these different societies and these different, communities and groups and organizations and ask those questions. What am I really doing to actually know what is my purpose in this life? Not just because, I like what Ma'at does, so now I'm Ma'at. Or, I like what, Asar does, so now I'm Asar. Or I like what Patah did, so now I'm Patah.
What does Ma'at do?
Please, somebody.
I hear that going around a lot.
How many of us can actually say that we know what Ma'at is doing?
Right.
Yeah, for all of you
But
that
the thing is, it's almost as if Ma'at is somehow the magical standard for Kemetic spirituality. Like, you walk in Ma'at, you live in Ma'at. Like, what is Ankh in Ma'at? Whatever. Bro, what does that really even mean? Because here's the thing, right? Is one thing to claim to know Medu, which again is not even Medu Neter, And I know people think that the Medu, like the characters, the hieroglyphs and the sounds, all the writings, people think that that's Medu Neter. I even heard some guys say that the fact that we can speak Medu Neter shows that it's the language of the gods and that we're the gods. Like, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. As an initiate, like an initiate of real temples, that's not Medu Neter. There's a difference between Medu Neter, a big difference between Medu Neter and just simply Medu. Medu simply meaning a language. There's a difference between language that's spoken, language that's read, language that's written, and then language of the gods. It's two different things. So I'm sorry to break it to you, all you people. The hieroglyphs, the sounds, the symbols, that's not Medu Neter. If you want to know what real Medu Neter is, you have to be initiated for that. That's a whole nother thing. But, you know, whatever. I digress.
So, my last thing really, because I know we're coming up to 2 hours, we're probably past 2 hours at this point. I actually want to read an excerpt from an article that's on horizonfirefly.org that was written by the one who we're following now, my big brother, Naba Iritash and Mitter. And big up, big bro. Big up, big bro. So he wrote an article, right? And it's titled A Letter to Makaru, right? Which is Namnabala Musa Moro Denibig, right? So not only is that his father, but that's his master as well. You do not ever try to discount the work that Naba Iritashin Mira has done to continue the work of his father as a disciple, not just as his son, but as a disciple. He has carried this work for years to make sure that myself and my son are able to walk through these doors, to be able to honor our ancestors and bring honor and dignity to our bloodlines, right? So with that said, an excerpt from this article says, "My dear master, if by chance you see Malcolm and Martin, please inform them that the situation of the Negro has not yet improved, and it probably never will. The dream has remained a dream, and upon waking, the reality is more unsettling than it was then. Even the brother in the White House did or tried to do what he thought needed to be done. But in the end, he realized that his hands were tied more than ever. I hope black people, with the help of their ancestors, will one day come to the resolution that a black guy in the White House will only have one job, and that job will be no different from that of a butler or valet of the white supremacist. As for Marcus, if by courtesy he stops by your vestibule, please tell him that for his next reincarnation, if he still wants to come back to this side of existence, that he might think about better strategies to accomplish the mission that he stated as far as his people are concerned, because those people seem to have forgotten his vision and the reason he sacrificed himself for them. The irony is that whenever his portrait and flag, red, black, and green, is displayed, it's intended to proclaim the patriotism and certain civil rights from the land that he encouraged his people to give up on and go back to the land of their ancestors. I see his name, his portrait, and his revolutionary colors being a tool for his people to betray his message and vision of freeing them. Please tell him his message of going back to the origins and to the mother of civilization has long been compromised, and therefore achievement of his vision is hopeless. Dear Master, tell him that it is with grief and desolation that I want to mention the uncertainty of the liberation of Negroes. because the present mental, emotional, and spiritual circumstances prove to be irrevocably certain that the situation is worse now more than ever. That's all I have.
The bombs. Drop the bomb.
You know, we want the intelligence to shine through because we want you guys to know and we want you guys to see that we're gonna help you actually get out of this madness. And we got the tools. Because when you look at Malcolm, when you look at Martin, you see that they had the fire, but they didn't have the tools, right? And this is a revolution. We either come together and we find a common ground and we use this time to stand together, or we all fall. And this is a movement. Like, we don't care about Bobby Tucker. We don't care about James George. We don't care about the way Temple of Anu feels. We don't care about the way Shrine of Ma'at feels. Like, for the people that think that they're standing on something, like, we don't care, because we see that what happens when you have actual tools of revolution and when you don't, and when you have the fire and the tools where you can take it. We got the fire and we got the tools. So if you want the smoke, come find us, right? And here we are with the tools and the fire, and you see how all these hoteps want to fight us and stand against us, right? So, Shrine of Ma'at, Temple of Anu, Ufodishi, James George, like all of you, like, we know you guys aren't standing on anything and you guys want to stand against us, and we're here to break it. And y'all weren't listening to us before, but now y'all got to listen, and you have no choice but to listen, because you know now we're speaking the truth. And you can see that Shrine of Ma'at, Temple of Anu, you know, Infodishi, Asar, Uset, Society, all of these so-called Kemetic organizations are just gimmicks, right? And they want to culturally pimp you and take you nowhere. And we're young, and we respect our elders. But we can see that these so-called elders, like from these so-called Kemetic organizations, are going to take you nowhere. And they actually talk like they're taking us somewhere, but they're really holding us back. We've been to Africa, we go to Africa, and we're young, and we're doing it for the young people. And we're doing it to tell you and to say to you, hey, there's another way of doing it. And we go to Africa every year, and we see the generations before trying these so-called Kemetic things, and it hasn't changed anything. It hasn't gotten you anywhere. Obama did nothing. All these so-called leaders did nothing for us, and it hasn't changed anything. And this, taking care of our ancestors, has gotten us somewhere. And because it's gotten us somewhere, for the people that want to make this personal, like, if you want to insult me personally, that's fine. Insult me personally. Call me mentally retarded. Call me mentally challenged. Call me cognitively challenged. But what does it make you to argue and to fight with somebody retarded? Because I got retard strength. So if I'm retarded, just know I got retard strength. So that means I'm going to see you, and I'm going to be like, ugh, and then I'm going to beat you up physically with my retard strength, right? So, hey, it's cool. Insult me personally. Say whatever I am. Sick, cognitively challenged, you name it, whatever. But you guys wanted to make it public instead of making it about conversations of getting somewhere, because we're truly in Africa. We're truly out there. Y'all aren't out there. Y'all ain't about that life. And y'all don't like the fact that we're exposing you. And y'all don't like the fact that we're out here telling you that y'all aren't standing on anything. And if you say something or do something to somebody that's really African in Africa, and then you really try and come for them, be ready to deal with the consequences for what happens when you truly challenge somebody. Because if you think we're not standing on anything, let's see what happens. Let's see what comes of this, right? Because if you want the smoke, hey, just call our name. If you want it, talk about it. If you really want to challenge Kebtah and what we're standing on, hey, do it. But we're not responsible for what you call on yourself. Don't call the rain and then get mad when you get wet. That's not up to us. That's up to you. Because we're for real. And we're what these organizations want to try and stand next to, and what they say that we are, right? And you guys, like all these so-called Kemetic organizations that buy our products and then try and emulate us and try and imitate us, and then have the audacity to sit up here and then act like that's not what you do. Year after year, you come buy our calendars, and then you try and act like you're doing something called the Ren Pet or whatever it is you say that you're doing. In terms of these fake calendars and these fake cycles of time, and then like you want to ask us about the 77 commandments, and then Master Naba is the reason why the 77 commandments have been translated for you to even be sitting up here talk about the 77 commandments. We're not about that. And we're here to tell you that you're standing on nothing but gimmicks, and then all of you guys are just delusional costume parties. Just because you look the part, just because you wear it, just because you got the skin color to hide behind, it don't make you real, right? And if it's not true, if we're not talking real, if we're not being honest, then why are you getting upset? Right? Why are you getting riled up? The truth hurts, doesn't it? The truth hurts. And y'all don't like the fact that the truth hurts. And hey, we got receipts for everything. We got proof and we got video of everything. So if y'all don't want to see it, shh, I suggest you keep quiet. Go to sleep. All of you, just shh. Go over there and be quiet, right? Because we're Kem people and we focus on legacy. So that means that little boy that you saw here on camera, right? That's the person you got to worry about. Right. You got to worry about the fact that we pass on what we stand for through legacy. That letter that you heard Kenny Bashu read by Naba Idita as a letter to his master, that's legacy. That's the real Kemetic culture. That's the real Kemetic culture because his master passed that on to him. His father passed that on to him for him to take everything that he was standing on and then take it to new heights. And if y'all think you can stand where we're standing and you can call us out and then you can, try and dilute what we're saying, be ready to deal with the ones that you got to deal with that are coming after us. Y'all, if you look at me, right? You look at him and you look at him, you look at him and you look at anybody else and you're like, damn, then be ready to deal with our kids. Because what we're going to instill in our kids, you're not going to be able to stand up and stand up against and to talk out against. So that's the reason why the Kemetic culture doesn't finish. The Kemetic culture doesn't finish because it's about legacy. This whole thing, the knowledge that built the pyramids, is about understanding how to pass along something that you know that you have to transcend the limitations of a human being. My life is limited by when I'm born and when I die. But if I pass it to my descendants, I find true immortality. And y'all don't understand that. And because y'all don't understand that, y'all aren't able to have real conversations with us. So, good night. Good day. Or actually,
Ankh and Ma'at.
Ankh and Ma'at, as Jabari would say, right? Ankh and Ma'at, because we have so many wonderful things for the real people that really want to be out there with us to come and attend. We have an event in Central Park. It's a free event. It's called Cop TB in Central Park. That's this Sunday. What time? 1 p.m. We got that in Central Park. Enter on 67th Street by Sheep's Meadow, and then you'll be able to find some of us there to direct you to that. even the haters, you know, if you're aligned with Temple of Anu, you're aligned with Shrine of Mine, and you don't want them to know, just put a disguise on, come to our event, it'll be okay. You ain't gotta fake the funk. We'll still accept you. And then after that, on the 15th, we have an event at Weeksville. I'll be giving a talk, the man with the sign, me. Come find me. For those of you that have been asking for my address, that have been looking for me, come find me. I'll be at Weeksville. You can come run up on me, whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'll be there, me, this guy. Yep, Tutipsa. We'll be there. So come find me. I'll be there, Weeksville. Come and attend that talk. We'll be there talking about the colors of colonization. That talk will be on the true origins of why we call ourselves black, why we call ourselves white, right? And then, as the true drop the mic, we have our first ever Dogon retreat on U.S. soil. And that's going to be happening that weekend of July 14th through July 17th. We have so many wonderful events happening that weekend. Check us out, dogonwisdom.org or dogonwisdom.com. Dogonwisdom.com or dogonwisdom.org? Dogonwisdom.com, right? Dogonwisdom.com. Check us out. There's going to be white people there, so if you don't like people, well, you don't like white people, don't come. But if you like Dogon priests, come. If you like real Kemetic spirituality, come. But if you like fake Kemetic spirituality, don't come. It's not for you, okay? Just go somewhere else. Go walk your dog. Go do something else with your time. But if you like real Kemetic spirituality, you like real Dogon priest, you like real, Kemetic priest, come check us out, right? But if you don't, just go somewhere else. Go do something else. Don't waste our time. Don't waste your time. But if you truly want to move forward in your life, you really want to stand for your, be there, and we're gonna be riding, and we're gonna be riding heavy. And you really want to move forward in your life, come check it out. There's so many wonderful days. You could check it out, Dogon Wisdom. And please, if you're one of those fake-ass Kemetic spiritual people, and then all you have is books to stand on, and you haven't read the Philosophy Podium, then you need to get the Philosophy Podium. Because read the Philosophy Podium, and then see the way it conflicts with all of the bullshit that you've been reading, and all the bullshit that you've been standing on. And then you'll be able to be like, man, I really don't know anything because I'm really listening to a master speak. And yeah, that Neb Nabala Musamora, didn't go read that. Philosophy Podium, a Dogon perspective for you fake ass Madhu Nater readers that claim that you can read Madhu Nater, then read that for us, right? But if you can't read that, then you really need to read this book. I'm talking to all of y'all. I'm not picking and choosing. Y'all wanted to make it personal. I'm not making it personal, but I'm just talking to y'all like it's personal. So, hey, come check us out. We got more than enough. Like we said, hey, it's the Gated Gates podcast. We're here to have real conversations. Y'all want to talk for real? Come check us out. Come have real conversations. And if you really, really claim to be standing on something, reach out to our leadership. Because if you haven't reached out to our leadership, then you're just full of it. But hey, we digress. Have a good night. Go about your business. Come check us out. We got so many wonderful things. Kebtah, theearthcenter.org, kebtahnj.org. We have so many resources out there for you. You can come observe classes. You can do whatever. We got a bunch of white people teaching class. So if you want to come and challenge the white people and be like, nah, white people don't know anything, you can come and challenge the white people. Hey, I'll be here. So if you've been asking about where we are, you know where we are. Have a good night. Idiot. Anke Maat.